Happy Adar. Is that an intro that
Nope,
people say?
Definitely not.
It is now. Happy Adar, everyone. And this is, I've said it a few times, but this is truly the most different type of episode that we have done. I know people come here because it's called Meaningful People Podcast. And this is not that type of episode. Nah, what type of episode is this?
This is a Purim episode. Not to say that it's not meaningful. I think comedy is meaningful. I think things that are funny are meaningful.
True.
D-Bash is meaningful. A.Y. Milstein, as much as it kills us to say,
No one knows who he is when you say his name like that.
Aim humor. Guys out there or girls out there, if you ever got a meme on WhatsApp or saw on status or Twitter, a funny joke, it was probably from Aim Humor. His profile picture is like a emoji, or Dov Bashevkin, who you guys may be familiar with, he's been on this podcast in more of a meaningful way.
He's the first person to be on the second time.
Crazy. Who would have ever thought?
So yeah, this episode is if you come here for just the chizik, to be inspired, to grow, then this episode is different. And if there's ever an episode you may want to skip, it could be this one. Maybe get a taste of it.
You're right. If you're coming to get your learning in, probably not this one.
There is some Torah in there.
There definitely is, but you have to find it.
We're trying to answer this question that comes out a lot, and it's Mishenichtas Adar Marbin B'Simcha. When Adar comes, you're supposed to increase in Simcha. How does one do that? Our taich of it is we're just having a fun time. We're making some jokes. There's sometimes where we're poking a little fun, but everything is in the best type of. We don't mean any harm on anyone, and if we offend you, you could call Nachi. His number is 917-817.
6212.
Don't call that. I have no clue. That's a fake number.
I don't know.
But yeah, this is it was a blast doing this.
Yes,
and
blast.
We hope you enjoy it as much as we did.
Enjoy. See ya. Happy Purim.
Happy Adar.
Happy Adar. Oh gosh, who says Happy Adar?
Welcome to the Meaningful People Podcast, the podcast where we talk to people who are
meaningful.
Yeah, that sounds good. We're here with two incredible people, David Bashevkin.
No, you messed up already. We're here with A.Y. Milstein and David Bashevkin's scarf.
Gosh, people listening are like,
what? It's going to come off midway. I want to establish myself as a scarf guy. I'm working on this. This doesn't just happen overnight. And probably midway through this, to get more comfortable, more casual, the scarf will come off.
The most important question, something that was discussed in depth on this chat to make this happen, but what is a Bashevkin?
Right.
Is that a currency in Russia?
I've been thinking about this for a while.
My first day when I came to Ner Yisrael, Rav Aaron Feldman, the Rosh Hashiva of Ner Yisrael, I introduced myself to him, and he looked at me, he says, Bashevkin, he says, you must have a lot of Batshevas in your family because it's kin of Batsheva. And I said, "There's not one Batsheva in my family." but that they're different theories. Bashefer, Batsheva.
So you don't know.
We don't know.
You don't know the origin.
We don't know. It's not a town.
You ever think of changing?
Should I X off Batsheva off my list?
This is a fun fact. I give you a fun fact.
It better be
my last name
fun.
Bashevkin. When I go to passport control in Israel, and I show them my passport control, Ooh, Bashevkin. Atam Mikurav Natan. Are you related to Natan Bashevkin? Natan Bashevkin. Mm-hmm. One, do you know could I mention a show? I'm always nervous on this. There used to be a show on CBS called Survivor. Okay. Remember Survivor? Yeah. People on a desert.
I can't confirm or deny.
Natan Bashevkin won Survivor multiple times in Israel and is a legitimate celebrity in Israel. We had the same great-great-grandfather.
Wow, really?
So I'm a celeb in Israel.
And you're surviving the...
Exactly. I'm surviving with Tyra. With Tyra, not with survival skills.
I want to focus
on... I can't say anything about Teaneck. I'm just kidding.
No
Remember last time?
No, I said no.
For those not knowing, just listen to the first time David Bashevkin was on the show. Nachi got in trouble. A.Y. Milstein. Could we say your name?
I guess so.
Is this the place where you're revealing yourself?
Better known as Aim Humor.
Your Aim Humor on Twitter. You've... me and you have personally never met on a total side thing.
Nobody in this room has ever met him.
Right. David also.
He's literally been in his
complete
basement
side
till this
thing.
morning.
This is not meaningful at all. But AY and I, we work on something called Yid with Sign.
It's true.
And we've been working on this for almost a year, and we've personally, literally never met.
Right. But we know each other.
We know each other at this point. But you seem a little more mysterious, and now this is you. coming
I don't know.
out.
I think it
wouldn't say
comes from
that.
like a stage fright kind of thing. Like I don't want to be out there, you know. Like
Okay.
I don't know. I get nervous.
You're like one of the most underrated Jewish celebrities. Every yeshiva guy in the world would love to meet you because they're laughing over your tweets all day.
And he's featured in the Jewish press.
Right. Well,
Yes or no?
I didn't know that part.
the Jewish press got all. I don't think they do tweets anymore because they banned. But
I
yeah.
always say
Is that-
you should be
is that-
writing in like I don't know if it's mishpacha, ami, or David.
Is that
Could you not?
No, I don't need it.
You
zero.
are. Don't you
I'm a
own
nothing.
mishpacha?
No, I'm a
like a-
nothing.
I know, but then I'm like
Like a
tied
rejected
down to
kidney.
deadlines, and I'm tied down to things. With Twitter, I could just I don't know.
Right.
It's an
Yeah.
excuse. I agree with you. If you have
Yeah.
a great talent, build on it, invest in it, and he's extraordinarily talented. He should be writing.
is.
He's so
So
good.
that's an
Let's-
excuse. That's an excuse.
He's so good. He's so good. Okay, but we're here. We're going to talk about.
This is a book club, right? That's
This
what
is
I-
a book
this
club.
is.
We all have
Yeah.
books in front of us.
Besides from
David wrote his fourth book,
This is
right?
my fourth book.
This is your fourth book, and
wow.
and by the way, I hate plugging. Every single episode, by the way,
I
we
hate
always
plugging.
happen to like
I
talk.
hate
Oh, this
plugging.
person wrote a book. We never get
Makes me
anything
uncomfortable.
from
I just
sales of books, but
Yeah.
we want to plug things that we love. And I read your book over Shabbos. It's hilarious. And
Who does that besides Yaakov Linger? Reads an entire book.
Me.
In one
I read
day.
it one
Really?
book. I
Oh, I
read
forgot.
a
You
book
said
at
you
least
read
every
10,000 books a
I
year.
got killed for that.
You said-
Everybody did the math. They're like, you said you read 10,000 books on Meaningful Minute. That means, and then they did the math. And I'm like, yeah, that was an exaggeration. It was not 10,000. It was a little bit less.
A little bit less.
A little bit less.
Yeah, but this type of book, you gotta sit with it. This is
I haven't written 10,000 books, but I've written 500,000 words.
You've written
That's a real
500,000
fact.
words. That's a fake stat.
I've
though.
published half. That's
Oh,
a
come
real
on,
fact.
like-
Are your tweets
But
involved?
like, what does that
in
mean?
that?
I've written
Published-
500,000 words on Twitter.
No, published to the world, not on my social media. 500,000 words. That's something.
That is something.
I'm
don't
proud
know.
of that.
I don't know. I feel like, come on, we'll discuss that.
can-
It's like a fake stat. It's
I think
it's
that's a very
why?
real stat.
no, it's a
not
real
real about
stat, but it's it's like
My greatest joy is sharing words with.
Nachi just prefers that stat in minutes because Nachi thinks
no,
in
right?
minutes.
Because like
minutes.
Nachi likes minutes. So how many minutes
we've-
is that?
No, I'm saying I hate. I wouldn't
job?
use that
Meaningful
the minute stat. Like the minute stat. Like how many? Oh, we've our minutes have been viewed 12,000 million times. Like that's a fake stat.
The meaningless. Stat.
It's a meaningless stat.
Because you're not on all those minutes.
What?
Because you're not on all those minutes. I wrote 500,000 words. that
I
have
hear
been
you.
Published.
No, I hear you.
Why do you have to? Why do you have
This
to?
is like the
rain
other.
on my.
This is
my
the
stat
other
parade.
episode, and like we're getting like
killed
yeah.
right
We're getting
here.
serious. We're serious.
Min other
Bashevkin
podcast.
also means to get killed.
Right.
That's
on
what. That's
a-
what it
yeah,
seems
it's
like.
one of the
That's what it
things.
seems like.
Bash Evkin.
But both these guys sitting here, both these guys sitting here are underrated, have such a huge impact on the Jewish world, on the frum world. Really, you guys like.
How are they supposed to reply to that?
No,
Like, it's such
just-
a-
Oh yes,
just-
yes, that is.
no,
that's,
like,
that's how I introduced myself.
You guys,
actually.
we're going somewhere with this, but
David
you
Bashevkin,
guys,
huge impact on Klal Yisrael. You made.
it's on your business card.
I don't
Where do
think
I know
of-
you
I don't
from?
think of myself as an
From a
impact
huge
guy.
impact on Klal Yisrael. That's probably where you know me
But
from.
you're not on LinkedIn.
No. Oh, I am on LinkedIn. I
but
haven't
you're not-
updated
you're
in
not
like
on
6
LinkedIn,
years.
A-wise,
active.
you're on LinkedIn. You have some funny.
I have some stuff going on LinkedIn.
you have stuff. There's different personas going on. I don't know. how much
I don't know, cause I have a work life, and if they find out,
What do you do
know,
for a living?
Do we have to?
No, we don't.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm so shy. I don't want to like. And then you're like,
Right, yeah.
what is
We-
your
we
social
already said
security?
my
And
last
David's like,
name.
oh, talking about
Social
money.
Security, let me
Let's
get-
talk about that.
Let's get
Let's
the
show.
finance
He
in
wants
the air.
everyone to like put their bank accounts on the table.
Exactly.
That's what we did last time.
We did,
we did.
yeah.
Compare
Okay, so I
numbers.
wanted to. Okay, so people who are listening are like, what are they talking about? This you have a book called Top 5 List of Jewish Character and Characters.
Yes,
And-
this is a collection of my mishpacha columns from about 3 years that I wrote sometimes every week, sometimes every other week. I wrote a top 5 of just like the Zeus little smiles that inhabit in the little nooks and crannies of Jewish life and Jewish community.
And I want to go. I mean, there's so much here, but we're gonna go through some of it, kind of like how
And
we
so
did.
much of it was a contribution from AY, for real.
Yeah,
Like,
I
he would-
helped a little bit.
He would send me stuff and ideas.
Yeah.
I feel like you're like in this type of for this book, like you were Batman and he was Robin in that like sidecar.
How are they supposed to
To,
respond?
like,
to
and
that?
Batman
That's-
can't survive without
But
Robin.
I wasn't. We weren't that close.
No, wasn't that?
No, I mean, this is what I wrote in my introduction. I really wrote this. And I
If
wrote...
you turn your
if you turn to page 8, and these top 5s were a collaborative project. Each time an article was published, I had a special place to thank individuals who contributed. And then what I basically says to the Twitter chevra, the Narishkeit we created together, shali v'shalachem shalachemhu. Meaning online on this like little space on Twitter, people would send an idea, and I have so many ideas that came from AY, that came from others, that was like people getting in on the joke and enjoying it. I remember the first contribution I got was, we did a top 5. I made a bunch of mistakes with this book. There's like a little bit of a graphical error on the cover you were so kind to point out right when I walked in. Thank you so much for that. And I left out one of my favorite top 5s in the book.
Really?
Top 5 honorary Jewish products. It was my favorite.
Which we discussed last episode.
Correct. And one of the top 5s for there, it was either that or the follow-up were those... the sun kiss candies.
Oh my God.
Like it's not a Jewish product, but like every for bar mitzvah, they're throwing those. That was the first contribution I got that like, I could use this for the column.
Right, that was a tweet. I think I tweeted that.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking at me. I'll just say it.
What just happened?
Okay, we don't typically have 4
not-
people on this podcast. We had it with the Bachners and maybe one other time. So the 4th mic I plugged in. And
Mine?
Your mic.
mic's
Yeah.
So you
not
basically
really-
just heard,
I need to make something clear.
Hey,
AY, you're not meaningful, by the way.
I know, I'm the
You're
meaningless
not-
one here.
This is a fake mic. It's
Yeah.
not.
No,
Is it
okay,
gonna be an
okay.
audiobook?
I wanted like this is a little
audiobook?
bit with this. I wanted people
know
to
what
like
audiobook is?
create
Yeah.
content,
Audio
like
version of the book.
do the characters.
I
like,
hold
do
on. I
the-
read this book. This is not audio.
Nah, you can't. Oh,
book-worthy.
you have to act it out. It's like
No,
a
but-
book of skits.
Right, no,
I
this
don't
is
know
not
what
an
you're
audiobook. You can't just read it.
You could turn this into like a YouTube series and so
Yeah.
on. That I could
I
see.
would let the people do
With
it.
Mishpacha.
Let the people do it. Nah, let the people in Lakewood, Passaic, in this place called Teaneck that you never heard of. let them come together and do little skits based on
Right, but
these.
these
Add
type
their
of
own.
like for I have a day job. Like for a guy, it has to be Bachram. It has to be like these guys who have time on their hands.
The Bachram make Klal Yisrael run.
Right,
we need the
that's what I'm saying.
Bachram.
They need-
Right.
We need the
Some
Bachram.
camp has
need
to
the
take this
Bachram.
book and
Well,
make
correct.
skits.
What do you think? A little off topic a bit. What do you think is going to be trending in Purim spiels this year? Like, what's going to be the focus of in yeshivas?
COVID.
I wonder.
I honestly wasn't even thinking when I asked that about COVID. But
Yeah,
you
it's
think-
gonna
is-
be
is there-
all Corona stuff
Yeah?
for sure.
I don't know.
And it's gonna be hard. No, it will be. You could. There's like now. I retired from the column right when Corona was starting, and it was really tricky because there are people who are like, "Oh, make Corona jokes," and I felt like it was like
You got out very lucky at that time.
No, it was too early. It was
Yeah,
too
so
early.
no, you
People
had
aren't-
certain people like Purim,
People
like,
aren't there,
oh,
like
should we
the whole-
dress up like a virus? And
Yeah,
like, no,
like
right,
it was too broken. It was too. It's still broken. It's still sad. But people, humor is a processing mechanism. We've spoken about this 1,000 times. It allows you to process what's going on in the world. And I think the person who changed this is, remember that Israeli woman who was like in her car screaming about like, what do you want me to do? You want me to like tutor my children and learn how to teach them to play piano and do their math homework? I can't do any of this. Like, that was the woman who was the voice for the world in like, we could start not making jokes over the impact of what this had on lives, but at least the situation. Humor is a methodology that allows you to process tragedy and difficulty that's happening in the world.
Yeah, no, for sure. With everything that went on, especially in the past year, like my place, I guess, in it was just. I think every person needs a little lightness with this type of stuff. It was so serious when everything started happening. Everyone was so scared. Like, it's okay to make a joke. Like, I don't
You
know.
need to exhale.
Right.
At a point, you need to, and that's Purim dick. You need to
But
exhale.
yeah, like any, it's so funny because like anytime you exhale, you're gonna get slammed for it though.
Yeah, no.
when it comes to
He
what we
gets
just went
slammed
through.
more than me. I don't get. He gets slammed nonstop. I'm
Yeah,
very
yeah.
judicious because I people know who I am online. I take very calculated risks.
You're not like a
I just
Bitmoji.
delete. Whatever.
He deletes. I keep it in my draft folder. Hey, you look at my draft folder. That's the stuff I get
Ooh,
killed for.
okay,
but
maybe
it's
Can I
we'll-
not-
tweet
It's
your
the next
drafts?
book.
No,
The next book.
So I want to go into the book, and we're gonna jump around. The first page 19, everyone. For those that listening at home, you can follow along. Is the top 5 seasonally Jewish businesses.
I love this.
So let's get into it.
Car cleaning. Boom.
No, this is car cleaning is definitely
That's-
on there.
that business-
You don't even have a book in front of you. You just know. You're sharing with the Rebbe.
I'm not. I'm not looking. I wanna.
No, the thing that I love here, and this came from a real life situation when I first got married, and my wife was like, "Okay, we're gonna hire somebody to like do our lawn," and I was like, "What? Like, I'll mow the lawn." Like,
Really? You grew up in the 510s. You were doing your lawn?
there was a part of me
You
like,
were
I'm
not.
married, I'm in Tina, I can embrace it on Sunday, I'll be there listening to my Shiurim podcast,
Okay.
and I'll mow the lawn. And my wife looked at me and was like, sure you will. And she had this pause, and then I was like, "Man, like I'm going to Home Depot, I'm going to buy a mower." And when I stepped into Home Depot,
You got nauseous. Your legs got weak.
it was just like just a very sad situation having somebody with like a little bit of like a yeshiva calm to
Everyone's
him.
walking around with this massive piece of wood. And you're
Yeah.
just like, what?
You have guys going in there with gloves and like they're just like walking around. You're like, do you have a lawnmower?
Just knowing where things are, and that just gave me the vision of what it's like with every yeshiva guy ever who's like, I'm building my sukkah this year. It's
my
happening.
gosh.
And you walk into Home Depot, and you go into Home Depot pre-sukkahs, and there's every single yeshivish guy clearing like, where do you keep the boards? But according to the Shiv, the Chazon Ish. That's what I'm looking. Is that in aisle 6 or 7?
What do you think is, I guess, the most profitable seasonal business between the car cleaning and the sukkah building?
Car cleaning pre-Pesach.
right?
But it's the same guy. It's the same Bachram who's doing car cleaning that are
Right.
doing
In
sukkah
order to
building. It's
sustain,
not a
he's
different guy. It's the
transitioning.
guy. He hangs up the flyer.
So I didn't know what the others were.
Chaim's
The
car
car
cleaning is
wash.
now doing sukkahs.
Right.
So you have sukkahs, you got
Changes
car
his
wash, barbershop after like with Omer.
The bar.
I think this past year everyone was their own barber. Like if you didn't
I
give your
gave
own
my
haircut,
kids up, Sharon.
right?
I googled how to get. I found a video on YouTube of like a guy
How to give a haircut,
A
right?
guy giving a person. I googled long hair to short hair haircut.
So
I found some barber and like there's music and I did my kids up, Sharon.
So I gave myself a haircut right
post
when the
pictures.
pandemic started, but I didn't actually Google how to give myself a haircut.
You just
that and
That I did also.
and
I gave
had
myself a haircut.
line. I
you know
looked
what?
like-
After you give yourself a haircut, you kind of think like I pay $30 for someone else to do this. Like
Yeah.
you just basically put it
$30,
on.
bro. Where you
put
going?
it on.
Oh no!
I'm
It
not-
made
should I give a
absolute
plug?
sense to me why
Artistic
I paid
men's
$30 for
barbershop.
this. After you saw my haircut, I'm like, I'm gonna continue paying $30 for my haircut.
No, I actually my first legit haircut was very recent, like a month ago. From the start of COVID till then, I was doing it myself. I was just going up in the back.
No, I
and
didn't know
scissors and
because
whatever,
I
don't know.
use like a trimmer that you would use for a beard on my head,
Peanut?
and whatever it was, and
Oh,
I had like no hair over here. No, the awkwardness of the barber when you're there, like anytime,
Oh my
is
gosh.
when the barber that you want is busy. And the barber who you don't want has the open chair.
He never speaks English. That's first of
And
all.
it's like
He's
the barber
comic.
you don't want, and you have to like
so
pretend to take a
sad.
phone
It's
call. You're
literally
like, let the next guy go.
It's terrible.
he's
It's
like-
really terrible.
Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. He's like,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
to me. Come to
Come
me.
on. And you're like, oh, like well, next time.
Imagine,
Let's stay in touch.
imagine being speed dating and there's a girl sitting there and you're just like not going there. It's extremely hurtful.
It's the worst.
It's
I
terrible.
in that
terrible.
situation, by the way, I'm makbid on how my hair looks, somewhat. Yes, if it's like, I don't know, kind of, I don't know. Basically, I always go to that guy because I always feel bad.
I got used
and
to
then I
it,
come
though. I
home
always
and
go to
my wife's
open
like, "You
chair.
want it over
You
the
go to
top?"
open
chair always.
So I wrote the following poem. This is the poem. Here's a poem I composed for those situations. I know you had an open chair. I just don't like the way you cut my hair. You're a nice barber and a ton of fun. I'm so sorry, but I'm still gonna wait for the next one. A Freilich and Lag Ba'omer. Signed an awkward customer.
That's awesome.
I
You know, the
can't
barber's
get like.
pulling out the razor and he's sharpening it. What was that?
Well, it happens to be again. We've spoken a lot about my anxieties on this show and my dental anxiety, which your brother-in-law, God you bless him. Should we give him a shout out?
Sure.
We should, right?
Dr. Aaron Brody.
Dr. Aaron Brody he cured.
Wait, hold
my-
on. Are we allowed to do that? Because AY has 10 minutes with AY and he
Oh,
doesn't
yeah,
stop.
my own
You're also
dentist.
plugging a dentist.
Yeah.
I got my
What are
own
you,
dentist.
Slavic
Sister-
dentistry?
sister-
Schwimmer and Slavic.
Schwimmer and
Dr.
Slavic.
I went to him.
Hello, you
did
should
a lot
get.
for me.
I don't know if people are going to be listening to
would I
this. He's
saw
getting a
that?
very big plug now.
Schwimmer
he's
and
a
I
great-
want to
Slavic.
know the backstory. Like, did he
Point
listen to
Pleasant.
my Meaningful Minute podcast and was like, you know, the place to advertise is podcast now. The
Right when I
dentists
started,
are
he like
cornering the
DM'd me on
podcast
Twitter.
advertising market.
Yeah, no. Right when I put out the podcast, like for fun, like I didn't really like think about. I didn't even think about it. I'm like, oh, if everyone's doing podcasts, I can do
Right,
a podcast.
It's a real dentist.
He's a real. I went to him.
I thought it was made up.
Schwimmer and
He did a whole root
Slavic.
canal.
Love it.
for
I
It
me.
sounds
love
more
it.
like a law firm than a dentist.
So they do also do that. They also do law.
They're the Bachrim that switched the caps. Like, oh, okay, we're going Home Depot now.
He
Like,
happens to be a great
haircuts.
dentist. Awkward Bacher went to him also after.
Really?
Yeah. Or he did it. Yeah, he liked him also. Great guy.
But my original anxiety, my life is a series of different anxieties which each replace one another.
Right.
The original formative anxiety was getting haircuts.
You know,
I
I
was
feel you.
terrified.
I feel you.
As a kid,
Well, your
were you
mother would just
traumatized?
drop you off and say, "Go in there and
Fairy tales.
and there's 100 people and you're supposed to offend. You're an 8-year-old. You're supposed to offend.
No, my
for a
mother
seat.
wouldn't be able to drop me off. I was screaming and crying. I was like, I was terrified.
Oh, you wouldn't. You would.
Oh my gosh.
Why? Why? Is there a traumatic experience?
It's the same intensity. Anytime that I feel like
Not in control?
controlled and not like like you have to hold your head still, my anxiety would go bananas, and that little buzzer that would like go around your ears, like when
like
you're a
sensory?
little kid. Sensory. It's sensory.
It's
Any
sensory.
kid probably like, is it sensory? It's sensory.
He doesn't like. He doesn't like
Sensory.
sweet potatoes. It's sensory.
It's a sensory
Maybe
issue.
he doesn't like sweet
It's a
potatoes.
sensory issue.
It's sensory.
Yeah, but it's a real phobia people have for cutting hair. It's a
Yeah, I had that. I had that. I didn't use the buzzer till I was like 16.
I remember I had a barber that dug his thumb into my head when I was like 3, and I hated it.
It's still there.
Could I do one of the meaningful
Thumbs.
ones on this list? Pre-Purim.
Yes.
This is meaningful. I wrote something, and this is for real. The thrift store before Purim.
I didn't get that one.
Yeah, no, I did not get it.
No.
Could you explain that? 'Cause
There's
that was
a
the one that I'm
Purim-
like from the 5 that was like the
People-
one that
Are
you
you
had
kidding me?
4
How
and you're
about
like,
the-
I need to get a 5th one.
No,
That's what it felt like.
No.
okay.
People, yeshiva guys love going to thrift stores.
Yeah, no, I did
No,
growing
for the
up.
suits.
They go, they buy the funny
You were from
suits.
Flatbush.
Burlington.
You didn't go
They-
to that place.
Yeah, by
they buy the
on
feather boa.
McDonald Street.
Yeah. Well,
No, there was Mono McDonald also.
yeah, okay.
You went, no? You went to the
yeah,
thrift
we went to
store.
the.
Wait, but
thrift
yeshiva guys
They don't run
go,
it. They don't run it.
They go to it.
They go to it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, but these are
Oh.
seasonal businesses.
Seasonal businesses. So they go in.
businesses.
the
Okay,
thrift
I
store,
misunderstood
All of a
that.
sudden, yeshiva guys pile in. So here's the, and this was meaning. Can I be a little meaningful for
Yeah,
1
yeah,
second?
for sure.
This was my disclaimer.
And then back to people,
I said,
though.
when you go into the thrift store and you're yeshiva guys and you're pulling out the funny suits and you're having a great time, just keep in mind. I don't
Right,
want to be
right,
the
there's people-
to bum out the whole thing,
Right,
but
right.
like there are people who shop in thrift stores because they don't have money,
Right,
and this
right.
is where they buy their clothes,
Right.
Right.
So like,
They're-
just like keep it chill, keep it a little low key. Like you don't want to be right next to an actual family picking out. Like these clothes are ridiculous. Like just like a little. Just take the sensitivity meter
Meanwhile,
from like
there's
a
a guy
2,
holding the same
bring it up-
sweater, like walking
Yeah.
to the counter.
bring it up to a 6. Bring it up to a 6 on the sensitivity meter. Why not? Why
I
not?
love it. I love it.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next page 75.
Oh, gosh.
Top 5 scholar in residence considerations.
This is real, and you guys know because you guys get asked to do stuff. No,
Yeah.
you guys get.
You're making like we're super
Not scholar in
celebrities.
residence, but we did.
No,
we
you
did a
guys get asked to
few-
interview.
We recently missed 2 of them because Yaakov had Shmovid, but we.
Sure.
Wait, what's this now?
I'm negative. Took the PCR.
No,
About
but
to
more
jump
than 10
right out
days.
that window.
Yeah, no, I never got it, so
I know.
No, I'm vaccinated. Baruch Hashem, thank God.
But yeah, no,
Classic.
for sure, but not like
Feel like-
this.
But you get asked. Somebody asks you to moderate a
Yeah.
panel session. Let's talk cash. You ask for money, yes or no?
So
We always have this awkward conversation, like knocking
It's
our
so
like,
awkward.
should we? Like, did they offer anything? Like, you referenced that in the book.
Yeah. There's a Mexican standoff. You get
you're
the
waiting for them to
email.
offer.
You get the email. You're like, hey, we'd love for you to be involved. We're helping children. We're doing Kirov. We're saving Russia. We're impacting Klal Yisrael like Beshefkin does every day. And we're doing all this amazing stuff. And you get the email, and like there's a part of you that's like, what's the money situation? Like you just want to know. Like
Right.
if they sent you an email and
You're
said,
leaving, like you think about it, like that you're leaving your family for like 4 hours to travel, and shit.
especially for Shabbos. So
Yeah.
if you tell me straight up,
For the
in-
record, I have to say it. We're not paying you to be here today.
Oh, is that we're not getting
What?
money for this?
Oh gosh,
What?
sorry. I didn't make
Okay,
it clear.
I'm
I'm
Sorry.
expecting you
I
to
didn't-
pay me now.
You guys did drive out.
I was
for a
told there was
while.
money involved.
Yeah, I
Okay.
apologize
George
for that.
Washington Bridge toll.
It's true.
Oh my! Okay, so but at some point, like so there are 2 ways to do it. One way is in the email. Just be upfront. Say, hey, we're unable to pay. It's a tzedakah or whatever it is. We would love if you could contribute some of your time to. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
And then you'll reply after the date has passed. Be
yeah,
like,
like
I just saw this.
saw this. Oh my!
Yes.
No, but when you don't know, and then there's this Mexican standoff, like who's gonna mention it first, and then you have to tell a sob story, like I have to check with my wife and my kids. I also have a big family, and
My
when I
baker.
leave, it's very difficult, and it's so hard. And also I have to check with the least person if I'm allowed to even leave this far, and you make a up excuses to try to get them to know that this is a really far trip and it's difficult.
Yeah.
But leaving for Shabbos, I don't play any games.
No,
Like,
no,
Right.
you can't play games.
you can't play games.
No.
But
I'm talking about the stuff that's like 2-3 hours.
But
They're
there are
like,
different tiers, and I that's what I made. That I'm not tier 1 is your A plus meaningful minute. Chevra.
Tier 1 is you're getting 5K to just breathe.
5K, brother.
A-list Jewish love.
Tier one is
They already have a contract.
Are
Is
you
you're
a
not-
big font by the speech, or are you like on the bottom, like also featured? I think that's,
so you'll come in, but I'm the kind of guy who like I'm sharing a like I'll stay at somebody's house. I'm sharing a bathroom with the 4-year-old. You understand what I'm saying?
Right,
Meaning-
right.
Top tier that you're dealing with a secretary. You're not even dealing with them, so they don't even like this. They have a gatekeeper.
Nah, I could do it. info@dbashideas.com. Yeah. Talk to my secretary. I'll have to check with David and see if he's available then. Yeah,
Dead
a
giveaway.
lot of the secretaries are. Yeah, it's not always the case.
I never talk to them on the phone. They only
Yeah.
want to talk through email.
I feel so naive right now.
Yeah,
Okay, and then by the way, I was only asking for examples in tier 1 because that's not a bad thing.
yeah. No, I'm an
We're not
example
gonna-
of tier 3.
Well, okay.
I'm a tier.
Let's go to tier
tier
2.
three.
What's tier 2?
Tier 2 is in a very, very chashuv. You're getting real cash. You're definitely a headliner, but you're not getting the business class seat to fly there. And so that's it. Just means you're not a chief rabbi. None of this has been censored. That's the beautiful part of this conversation.
Okay,
That's the key.
He's
You're
getting
gonna get-
flown there,
You're gonna get
or she's
flown
getting flown there.
Economy plus. No business class seat.
will you have to fight for the rollaway bed in the hotel?
No, see that's the beauty. You're not gonna get a hotel, but you're gonna stay by the Gavir, who
okay.
has like that separate house in
Right,
the back,
right.
or the separate wing, your own bathroom,
Right.
your own bathroom.
Tier 2
That's-
sounds nice.
Tier 2 is so you need your own bathroom.
I
when you
aspire
go
to
in.
tier 2. Like tier 1 is like
Right.
next level. I can't get.
You
there.
know
Tier
you'll
one's too
never
much
get.
I'll
pressure.
never get there.
Tier 1 is pressure.
Tier 1 is Tier 1 is you're the institution. Tier 1 is you're the institution. Tier 2 is you're an individual who is awesome, top-notch, top-of-the-line speaker. And Tier 3 is...
So what's tier 3?
You're saying you're tier 3.
Yeah. I'm not on that level. I
You
can
said
pretend. I
tier
can
3 is
pretend.
Charlie Ari imitators.
Oh, here you have Charlie O'Reilly.
Oh, yeah, over there. Charlie Harari imitators. The guy who... He has the intense, inspirational voice. This is the moment. This is when it counts. Make it happen now. You have the voice, but you're not... You're not Charlie Harari,
Right.
the front of Atzmo. That's tier 3.
Okay, and well, there's a tier 4. I'm surprised there's no tier 5, but there's a tier 4. Sorry, there's a tier 4, and who's a tier 4?
Once featured
Oh.
on Meaningful Minute.
Ach,
Once.
yeah.
Meaning you are Meaningful Minute once. You're not a regular.
Once.
Right.
You don't have like the graphic that people are familiar with. You've been on there once. You broke through once. You could get a gig.
Right.
You
Really?
could get a
Right.
gig. Yeah.
You're
Be
like
featured-
also featured. Like after the also featured, like plus we have
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And you've broken out. Who do you think is a Jewish person? You've broken out Jewish personalities to the world.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone... No, I don't know. Yeah, I hear you. I definitely...
Do you have people who've only been on once?
of course.
Yeah.
Do I know? So
it's
their names
tier
off the top
4.
of my head?
Do you have
Well,
people
that's-
who submit to you and never get on?
That's me. That's David Bashevkin. I submit and never get on. Not a once.
Hi everyone.
I
we
do it
we
constantly.
have, once we're talking about that, pivoting just a little, we awkwardly have some people ask for themselves to come on Meaningful People.
And that's a instant like no. If
no,
you- it is.
It's usually a red flag.
Anybody who calls me and starts speaking about the podcast, I say tread lightly. We have a rule. Anyone who asks to be on the podcast is a
Only by the
No.
nature of the name of it, I think,
Right.
because it's like meaningful people and like, hey, I am meaningful. Like, I think everyone is meaningful. 100. I really believe that.
Offer a lot to your show.
Basically, I think I'm meaningful.
I've been sending, I sent emails weekly emails to you, not begging.
To get onto Meaningful
with
Minute.
dignity, to get on.
Okay, until you sent one of those like kids collecting for Lev Lachem to my door, and you said, by the way, Bashevkin wants on the podcast. I'm like, whoa, and like a little head pop out of the stuck box. It's a little bit
Exactly.
too much at that point.
Okay, I want to go to the next topic. Top 5 ways guys say I don't know. It's on page 84.
I love this one. I love the lengths that a guy, before looking at it, when a guy is in, and this is very gendered. I deliberately said guy. To get a male to say, I have no idea. Like, I don't have any information on
It
that
shows
subject.
a lot of like maturity. Yeah.
They never do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never, like, they'll say 1,000 different things to get out of having to.
I don't know about that. No, I'm kidding. I was just using the phrase.
I was in one.
Sorry.
I was one time. I was learning in Toronto by Rabbi Breitowitz, who's an amazing Talmud Chacham,
Flex.
and in huge flex.
He actually had a prabba for Share. No.
He did. He's unbelievable.
Bleed red.
Very
Maroon
good.
carpet.
Great,
We love Rabbi
great
Breitowitz.
niche 5-town specific.
Share feeling.
You just
Exactly.
lost me completely.
Right.
I was gonna. Yeah.
No, he's unbelievable. And I remember on Shabbos afternoon, we went to. We were talking with some more yeshivish guys, not who were learning with us, and we were talking about the Masechta we were learning. We were learning Masechta Sota. It's not a classic yeshivish Masechta. So somebody came up to talk to us in learning, and they asked, so what Masechta are you guys learning? And we said Masechta Sota. He's probably hoping for like Bava Kama, Kiddushin, something a little bit more common. I remember the person like scratched his beard. He's like, oh, it's Taka Shver Masechta. I said, did you just blibe Shver an old 49 lot of Masechta Sota? Like, oh, the whole thing's a tzarech here. Yeah.
Like, please don't talk to me again about this Masechta.
Yeah,
I'm
like
done.
people will do anything rather than having to admit, like, oh, don't know anything. Especially in politics, learning, they'll do anything. Like, it's Taka Shver. It's complicated. You have to know. You have to know.
Or they'll just talk about it as if they do know.
Exactly.
Right.
To avoid it. That's usually the case.
There, you have certain time. Not okay. There's very few people, but like I've heard speakers before, and they have like that one topic they talk about, and it's amazing, and they quote like the perfect like midrashim and play amazing. But then you hear them speaking like, wait, they always use that same
Oh my
vart
God.
out of
They
like,
know.
wait, I heard this
I'm
before.
totally guilty of that.
Yo, you're like a
FYI.
one timer.
Oh my,
like
if you like catch me off base, like the worst. I was just at my.
you're like Rav
sister's
Tzadok
l'chaim.
says.
No, I was at my sister's. I was at like I've written. I know a little bit. I was at my sister's. My sister her daughter just got engaged.
Mazel
Mazel
tov.
tov.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
two
To who?
sisters whose two children just got engaged.
Wow.
And I was there. It was like a nighttime, like outdoor engagement party, and they were serving mushroom barley soup. And I was eating it, and a bunch of people came up to me. He's like, Taka, what bracha do you make on that? And I'm
gosh.
like, you're going to give me a panic attack. I can't stay here. Like, you can't walk up to somebody as they're eating. I don't think that's fair.
That's not fair.
I don't think that's fair.
No,
it's
Like,
not
this isn't a
fair.
brachas bee.
Right.
It's not a brachas bee.
in a
Like,
camp-
I made a bracha privately to myself.
Right.
I'm 90% sure it was the right
None of
one.
your business.
But this is not a brachas bee.
And I mumbled it just in case I had it wrong.
Yeah, I
too
washed
scary.
when I came in
I always
actually
wash.
on the rolls,
Always
so
wash.
I'm
Gosh,
a
it makes me
putter.
so, and a mushroom barley soup, or like I don't like 10 different I don't know.
Right.
I washed and made hamozi before I came. That's all I don't even know. It's very, very tricky. So yeah, it's
You could have hold on, but it's so funny you bring that up. You could have said, "I don't know."
but I'm too
But
scared.
you're eating it.
But he's
He's sitting there
eating
eating
it.
the
So
soup.
it's like I'm
I don't know.
an Amara.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know, like-
announcing to the world. If you eat something with a suffix,
I had a friend in a camp I went to, and there was a Rebbe that used to go around, and he used to like kind of do that. And he said, "What bracha did you make on it?" And in a very interrogating, he was a very scary fellow. And my friend, very straight up, he's like, "I just don't make brachos." Like he didn't know what to say. That was his only answer.
no, I
That was
stopped
his
eating
only answer.
cereal for like 10 years because of this. It's too scary. You don't know.
Cereals are hard.
Right?
You have the chart. They have the chart for cereals. Not that anyone really uses
Keep
it.
that on you? No, it's hard.
If I
It's hard.
would
has
get a
it on their
tattoo, it would be
That's
that
it. You know
sharp.
how quarterbacks have like the playbook?
Exactly.
AY,
Pull it up.
AY for
Right.
breakfast has like, all right,
Cornflake.
we're going Frosted Flakes today. Let's do
There's
it.
the Jewish cornflake because they do it differently.
No, I have post brachas B stress disorder. Like we all had brachas B's in our
Post
schools.
bracha B?
Every school had a brachas B. Right?
I didn't have that.
I don't recall that.
Didn't you go
Maybe
to
I missed
South
that
Shore?
day. I went to Darche.
Oh, we for sure had brachas
I
B's.
maybe missed that day.
And I would I was a kid, and like the as you advance, you can like get onto the stage, and like I was a little kid, like I was getting out over like broccoli, like I was getting out over the basics, like what broccoli you make on an apple, and I was
Right,
airballing
Mizonos,
that.
right?
I was airballing that. So I'm just like,
Like
brachas-
technically, it is Hadama because the tree grows on the ground,
It
so
would
I'm not
stress me
so.
out. It
And
would stress
shahakal
me
just
out.
covers everything.
Right.
It would stress me out too much.
All right, so let's go through the list. Okay, okay. So you mentioned the Tzarech Ian.
You mentioned they talk about it.
You said they talk about it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
talk
Okay.
about it. They talk about it.
Shver Sugi, you said that it's a machlokes.
That's on any Gemara test
Right.
you've ever taken from the ages of 9th grade onwards. You don't know what the answer is. It's a fill in the dots. Just drop it's a machlokas.
Right.
When in doubt, it's probably a
safe
machlokas.
answer.
But the Rebbein would be like, and what are the Shitas? And you're like, well, Rava, Abaya. I'm like, of course. Famous machlokes.
I hear.
But yeah, by the way, I often hear Rabbeim say like this is a very famous machlekas. Is there like a place that you could like how do they like is it come up a lot?
By the way,
Like,
that makes someone feel like $1 million.
I say anything that I know is famous.
Oh.
Any piece of information I have
that
is world famous.
constitutes.
Bart.
You're like famous book,
They're
famous
like,
idea.
Oh, so
anything
if I
know
asked
is
my Rebbe,
famous.
he'd be like, "Well, David Bashevka knows it." So I'd be like, "Okay, so that's
very famous." Exactly.
You ever like in yeshiva and you had a question and you asked it and the Rebbe's like, that's a Akiva Eger's question.
Yes.
And you felt your body.
I actually have
you felt your body being elevated.
I have a very beautiful story about this. Can I share a beautiful
Yeah.
story?
Sure, I
This
mean-
is a real beautiful. When I was in 5th grade in Rabbi Zucker's class in South
Shout out to
Shore.
Rabbi Zucker.
Shout out to Rabbi Zucker. 5th grade Rabbi Zucker's class. We were learning Hakones, which is the 6th parak of Bava Kama, and we were talking about damages. I says, what happens if somebody damages and burns up a winning lottery ticket? So you didn't have the money, or so it was the ability to pay.
a great question, yeah.
And he sent me to Rabbi. He said, that's an unbelievable question, which is like a little bit of like destroying a star or what the status of that would be. We don't have to get into the lumdus now. We don't have to get into the lumdus
I hope no one's
now.
listening to
It's a
this like
great
in the
phrase.
bathroom.
I was
Okay,
gonna
yeah.
say there's a Rajba on that.
And he sent me to Rabbi Hertzberg's office,
Oh,
Oliver
wow.
Shalom,
Yeah.
who we love, who's in the book of biography on Rabbi my experience with Rabbi Hertzberg. And Rabbi Hertzberg sent me to Rav Binyamin Kamenetsky, Oliver Shalom,
Wow.
the older brother of Reb Shmuel Kamenetsky. And
Your heart was just like
none of them gave me an actual answer, but there was a sense of like, oh wow.
you were
like,
just going up levels.
Right.
You were just like you were next was Hashem.
No, I
You know,
thought
like-
that was awesome. For real, I thought it was such an awesome chinuch for a kid of like, you just asked the best question in the world.
Right, and it had an
And-
impact that
Oh.
you literally.
South Shore impact. I don't play. South Shore is the seeds. Elementary school. If you had a good elementary school experience, it pays dividends for the rest of your life.
I went to. I'll plug them. Why not? I went to Chaim Berlin Elementary.
Chaim Berlin actually needs a plug.
No,
It's very,
no, I don't know. No, but
I'd rather have Hood
I
right
really, I say this all the time. I had a great, the Rabbeim were amazing. The teachers were really
The
good.
issue
They
now
taught a
is-
lot. I am who I am today, a lot because of them.
The issue now is if AY and myself don't mention we were at the elementary,
Right, now
it
I'm
sounds
like,
like
thinking,
it sounds like we didn't have good.
No. Just don't say where you went. Just don't say where you went.
We'll just yeah.
I had a good experience too.
yeah.
I want to move on to top 5 from faux pause. Did I read that properly?
You almost.
No, it's
not like
Fox Paz.
That's faux pas. A faux pas. Faux pas is French for a mistake.
Okay.
And
Top 5 from mistakes.
from mistakes, like mistakes that you only make in the from world. The first one to me is the ultimate nightmare, which comes out of a beauty of the misplaced mazel tov.
My palms are sweating.
The misplaced mazel tov.
When
You
once-
go over to someone, oh my gosh, you just got engaged, mazel tov, unbelievable, I'm so excited for you. And they're like, it's actually my younger sister.
Okay, but that's not as big as an issue as you just got engaged and it's just like it's actually not anymore.
Or it broke.
I had that with.
Yeah.
I literally had that with a divorced guy.
And it-
Oh, Mazel Tov, you got married a few months ago. He's like, yeah, I'm divorced.
so what are your options?
Well,
then?
there you could
What-
be
what-
like, well,
pause,
technically you
right.
How was I
did get
supposed to
married.
Pause. What do you do next? The
You
world
have
is
two
frozen.
options. You have two options. There are two options, and maybe I'm wrong. You could add in. I think there are two options.
Okay.
Option number one is this is the worst option.
You snap your neck.
No.
Okay.
You drop the instinctive word that should be crossed out from Jewish vocabularies. Emir Hashem Bayu. That is the worst phrase of all time. But we do that to like
'Cause
not
there's
get
nothing else
off
It's
to
it.
a
say.
nervous.
Emir Hashem
It's
Bayu.
like a nervous laugh.
But that's not the only. The other option is you excuse yourself. You go to the DMV or the passport office. You change your name. You start a new life in a new country. Once you're settled, you send word and money for your family to join you. But you need to start a new life.
No, but for real.
You're done.
For real.
I
what are
actually
your
own
for
it.
real
I would go
options?
oh, whoops, that's awkward. Like I would just own it and be like, how I just had no idea. I'm
Everyone's
sorry.
been in
Like,
this
you know.
situation. Everyone's been
Yeah.
in this situation.
We spoke about this last time. It stays. We already told that story a little bit.
I don't know what you're referencing.
And the people who didn't listen to the last one now will go back.
you
to
could
it
say
also.
it. Say
You
it
can
again.
This happened with me, with you guys. It wasn't a mazel tov. I'm very careful about this. I hate embarrassing people. I hate making people.
Oh, you could talk about it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate making people feel bad. It's like because I know, because for myself, when somebody would come up to me and like notice my hair when I had braces, I was like self-conscious about everything. But like, oh, you got braces, like all that stuff. So after I spoke about this last time, at the very end, I was looking at both of you, and I looked at you and said, "Oh, how many kids do you have?" And you said 1, 2, whatever you had. And Yaakov looked at me and said, "Oh, we don't have children yet." And I caught myself in that second. I was so annoyed at myself. I don't ask people that. It's not one of my like questions. I don't like asking people
You ask
questions.
you how much money they have, but not if they
Yeah,
have
no, I
children.
do ask people how much money they have. I love asking how much money do you make because that doesn't matter.
Right.
But what does it, like, that could hurt somebody. Like, and I remember I was like, I made a note to myself. I think I didn't say anything. I said, "Oh, beautiful," and I walked out and I made a note to myself. And thank God when Yaakov had a child, a baby boy,
Alexander Zisha.
Alexander
Yosef
Zisha,
Alexander Zisha, yeah.
I sent him a voice note and I shared with him that was with me since that interview. Which was your wife expecting at that point?
No, not. I don't think so. No.
I do the like right after. It was staying with me the whole. There's nothing worse than embarrassing somebody, and like you feel bad. And I think the way to do it is let them move away from the moment. Maybe start a new life. I didn't start a new life.
I was
at that
hoping
point.
that you're going to the DMV after that. I'm like,
No.
I
I
was
erased
looking
you from my contacts. I blocked you. I muted
Yeah,
you
but
on all
you know
social
what, like-
Does your
media.
license still say David Bashev?
No. It's a new name. It's a new
Right,
name.
new name,
But
completely.
I reached out after and said, thank God. Like now that we could be in the simcha together.
I think the person who's on the other end of it, let's say someone who is engaged and they have a broken engagement and someone said Mal to them, I think that they feel terrible for the person who said Mal stuff. Like,
Yeah, I didn't know. At the time, I did.
Right, they know also the situation they're in, so like they know this is gonna happen.
Like, I don't think
you're not the first one to.
I don't
do
think
it,
it's
and
pouring
you know,
salt. I don't think it's pouring salt on their wound. Like, oh,
It depends.
Right.
It depends.
I think it's
No,
like
there are certain people that
you're-
are whatever the situation is, they are
Right.
maybe a little more sensitive about it. It is hard for them.
Right.
And then there's certain people, like, let's say in my thing, I'm like, I don't even remember that. Like,
you didn't remember.
Like vaguely,
I like poured my heart out in
like,
the voicemail.
Yeah,
And
no,
you're
no,
like,
no.
I don't have any
That-
recollection of that.
Yeah, like that part, it was very sweet to me, and I felt bad. Like, had I known you were so like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? I totally would have tried to like pacify you. But it was very sweet of you.
Yeah, the wrong place, the
to
misplaced
leave me like a
miles.
Misplaced
7.
Mazel Tov.
Well,
Start a
I
new
recently
life.
had a friend of mine lost his father, and like I saw him like a month later. I didn't go to be Menachem Avel, and I'm like, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to Menachem Avel you. He's like, see, I had no idea you didn't come, and now that I know, I'm upset at you.
But you could also be insulted. Like, you know those people that like, oh, you didn't know I came. Like,
I find it funny that I said faux pose, and you're like, no, that's a mistake. It's
Faux pas.
Right.
You
I
messed
made a
up the
mistake
A.
on the
It's
word.
a very
I made a
tricky
mistake on the
spell.
word mistake.
you said faux right. No, you said faux right. The word that has
Okay, so wait, hold on. Okay, misplaced Molotov, we got that. Next one, clapping at the wrong time.
again.
is
That
the
also you need to
worst.
move. You need to move.
No, you don't move.
You can't clap.
Transition into the scratch. That's what I do.
Oh, you're talking about Slachlanu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I thought you were talking about like Yalav Yavar
No.
on
Slach Lanu on Shabbos.
Right.
Classic.
That's the classic Jewish.
Transition seamlessly
I get like a DM
into,
every once
into
in a
the
while. Do a
scratch.
joke about the clap Slachlanu
Into
on
the
Shabbos.
verse.
Like we know that one.
This
already.
has been done. Yeah.
Do you think it's happened to every single from Jew?
Yeah.
It's just bad when you do a bit like
Could you just? It's happened.
You know what's happened to me?
You're going on autopilot and you're davening Mincha
Yeah.
on Shabbos and you just.
I've bowed down like in middle Shemona Esrei, and I didn't even realize.
I
Like,
have bowed by the
I was
wrong
like doing
bracha.
moedim, and like 2 seconds in, I'm like, whoa, I am not paying attention. I'm
reminds
What, you did
daydreaming.
Moedim twice?
No, like my brain is like, okay, do moedim now, and like I'm like, oh
What's the-
right, I shouldn't have been spacing out. Like,
What's
so
the problem with that?
You know what
No,
I've
I wasn't
done
up
though
to my
recently?
them.
I realized that I sometimes do the wrong like Jewish action. Like I'll be Slachlanu, I'll be like Slachlanu. What would I just do?
For those
for
for
thing.
those listening, he
Right.
just kissed
Right.
his tefillin.
This is not. I'm not up. That was actually. I'm right. Yeah.
It's so interesting. The Slachlanu one is a tough one,
Okay,
especially if you
tough.
catch someone looking at you.
That is annoying for the ears. And in theme of that, we are going to do this ad for AMR. First time we're ever going to do this. V'nahapachu. Everything in reverse, and we're not
Reverse,
going
completely opposite.
to opposite. Everything opposite.
Reverse would sound like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that would not work. Okay, so everything we're about to say is not the MS, it's the reverse of it.
AMR's delivery is not that good. It's slow. They don't come on time, and they always give me the wrong medication.
AMR is not the best pharmacy. They don't really take care of you. They aren't in everywhere in New York, New Jersey, and they're not that company that really cares about the people. They're not the company that you want to use as your pharmacy.
AMR always delivers my pills on time. I can't even do the opposite part.
Oh,
I messed
gosh.
up.
I told you before, like, nah, let's go for it.
I messed up. I'm sorry. AMR never comes on time. They never do. And
What's not their number?
112-842-1212.
No, that's not the reverse.
848.
Their number is not 848-222-1110.
That's how you say that's not. I thought you wanted me to say it backwards. I couldn't do it backwards.
No, we said we're not
Their
doing
number
backwards.
is not 848-222-1110. Their website is not amrfarmrx.com. So do not call that number and do not go to that website if you get my drift.
I hate AMR Pharmacy. Someone's
Oh,
going to
man.
clip out all this stuff. Please don't clip out any of this. That would not be good. I think, Nachi, AMR is going to love this ad.
Shaggy Mealy, we love you. And enjoy this.
No, we hate them.
Oh, we hate you.
Attire at most those events.
This is the nightmare of the Jewish world. What do you wear Sunday
I feel like
morning?
that's why we wear a scarf everywhere.
Sunday morning fundraiser. What do you wear? And I believe that depends. Where's the fundraiser?
What's it for also?
What
What's the
it could be
the
what's it
moisid?
for? Like what's the what's
Who's
the
gonna be there
hashkafa?
also?
And then it also parallels into what you serve. And I think that there are three clear tiers. I could be missing something. You're from Passaic, so I could be missing something. Clifton.
Oh, gosh.
On the top, this really started because Mishpacha sent me to a correspondent to a political event on a Sunday morning. It was 10:30 a.m. And I came dressed more or less like this. I always keep a tie in my glove compartment, just in case you're not properly dressed.
Did you do a scarf?
And I
though?
put
You
it
did-
on. I may have scarfed it
You
because
might have
it gives you a little rebbish feel. And I walked in 10:30 a.m. All suits and ties, hats, and the food there was heavy flesh.
Really? I love it. Yeah.
Heavy flesh.
10:30
Heavy
a.m.
flesh. 10:30 a.m. I'm like, Chevra, it's a little early out of the gate. We just became milchiks a couple hours ago. To go so hard at so early in the morning. And then the tier under that is the 5 towns. What do you've been to 5 towns?
Yeah, like RCCS or they have those breakfasts.
Yeah.
The tents,
so those are that's
just
where
sort of like you're dressed right now.
yeah, that's where you wear your A+
Blazer?
sports jacket
Yeah.
or a suit without a tie. Very classy. And that's where you get the omelet stations and they make a whole thing out of breakfast.
Are you the type of guy that waits online for food? I feel very self-conscious waiting online for food.
Are you a cutter for food?
No, waiting on a buffet line. Just I feel what are we
No.
doing?
Maybe just wait till it clears up a little bit.
Yeah, what? No, what? I feel very.
I won't wait online. I won't eat food in front of other people.
No, but
I'll
I know
go
what you're
into a
saying
corner.
about
Like,
I'll sneeze or because you're self-conscious?
Like never.
I like to go into a corner. I'll eat lunch at work. I need to close my door and this and that.
you
and
do have anxieties, don't you?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And when I'm at a simcha, you want to know what it is? It's covered for the food. It's covered for the smorgasbord. I want to be there and I want to really get into
Deserves
it.
the proper.
I want to get into it. I don't want when you're in public, you always have to be careful because at any moment somebody could come up to you while you have a big California roll stuffed in your mouth.
With sushi, you can't.
Sometimes when I'm in a restaurant, if you're the person you're with goes to the bathroom, I just watch people eat, not it's just a very weird thing eating. You're just you're using your mouth and there's just the focus.
yeah.
People are very serious when they're eating.
But it's
also,
people like
so
you is why he doesn't eat in
Right,
public.
exactly.
Yeah. No, so I will go find a corner and cradle that little
The little plate.
that little plate, or sometimes when you go to yeshivish places, they get the big gazunta plates.
Yeah.
The little plates to me is just a big spoon. So I take the little plate and you fill it up, and I want to be in a corner and eat big yeshiva das.
I have such a taiva to see you by these events, watch you eat, ask you what bracha you're making, and then and then give you a haircut while that's happening.
Start a new life. I would start a new life right there. I would start a new life. And then the final level is the Bergenfeld Teaneck event. Eggplant wraps, egg salad wraps, tuna wraps.
So do you wear
All
that?
of- No matter where you are, there's always sushi.
Right.
Lakewood,
I saw it
Lakewood
in
Well, that
in
Fried
your book.
Down.
You-
That started in 2007.
What's with with
What's with
sushi?
sushi?
No, I'm not kidding.
What's with sushi?
Yeah, are we? I feel like the From people we're abusing sushi. We're really
We're
abusing.
we're
it.
overdid it.
overusing it like
But
Vizakini, like that
I
song.
said this
you
on
know?
one of my podcasts is that
Ooh.
when from people have something they're into, they just go all in. They go hard.
Sort of like podcasting.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll go vacationing to Miami, and then like the entire Flatbush is on an airplane to Miami. Like,
Yeah.
Every single one of us sitting here has a podcast. It's like literally like podcast.
That is true. No, oh my gosh, it was some other famous guy who posted like not everyone needs a
No,
podcast.
we killed sushi.
We killed sushi.
Totally. Pizza has sushi. The place you
scared-
place
I'm
has sushi.
scared-
We're killing
Has sushi.
charcuterie
I'm
boards.
scared for
That's
charcuterie. We're not there yet, but in a few months we're gonna kill it.
Lakewood,
We've
in Lakewood, it's already like charcuterie is just like it's done. It's killed.
It's done.
It's killed.
Right.
It's killed.
They have fish charcuterie.
Just put it in a
now,
Ziploc
and they're
bag. Like
doing-
don't put it on the board.
Yeah.
You know what
Seriously.
someone pointed out to me? I forgot who.
I said we'll meet when they make
really
a sushi
interesting.
charcuterie. Like,
Yeah.
This is a
whoa.
food related thing that in the non kosher world, you don't have French fries accompanied with pizza.
I saw you.
What?
I saw this thing going.
I was
on.
shocked. I was
Someone
shocked.
pointed
This
this
is
out.
true.
I don't
What
remember
does
where I
that
saw this.
mean?
It's burgers and hot dogs, that type of thing. Like McDonald's, Burger King, they have French fries. Pizza. If you ever seen an ad for like
Oh.
Domino's
They
or
don't, correct.
Our
It's
fries are
a
it's
not
a
allowed.
from thing.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, every
Fascinating.
single
Is that a
from,
Messiah?
every
Did
single
we-
from restaurant has French fries. Every single kosher restaurant has French fries.
Yeah, French fries across the board.
Sushi, French fries.
But you buy a
Correct.
steak
Yeah.
and it comes.
But
with fries
where did that
also.
come from? Where did we? Some innovators like pizza.
Fries
and
was
fries.
like the sushi of 1988.
For our like two non-Jews listening to this episode, they're like, "What? That's a thing? Pizza and French fries?"
Yeah.
But what's with Jews' like obsession with French fries? You ever meet a dude who doesn't like French fries?
I don't like French fries.
I'm not a huge French fry guy either.
You're not Jewish.
I'll have
Like,
like
what does
two.
that mean? Really?
You
and
are.
ketchup.
You're so skinny. You are a French fry.
Right. No, I
I
don't
think
eat,
two
I don't
French
eat
fries
much. Like I'm
will,
not any food guy. So. Like,
French fries to me is a big nisayon because I can't have one, and I have battles with French fries in my self control, which can be really really hard at night. Like I could hear them calling to me from the
sizzling?
fridge. Yeah, no, I could hear them calling to me from the fridge.
Oh wow. What are they saying?
Don't go to sleep yet.
Just have
all
two.
all my bad food decisions.
So you know what you
take
got to
place.
do? You got to go and pour yourself a bowl of French fries and then go back to sleep.
but
No,
there are good
you know what
fries
I'm
and there are
talking- you know
bad
what I'm
fries.
Pour
referencing?
yourself a bowl of French fries? What is it, cinnamon
No,
toast
no,
crunch?
okay. There's David. Who was it? There's famous gadol. He had a taiva for a glass of
Revolve,
water.
I think.
Well, yeah.
I think there's
He-
Revolve.
He wanted a glass of water, but he didn't want to give into his taiva to have the drink because he didn't need it. But he also didn't want to be lazy and not get it. So he got up and he poured it, and then he didn't drink it. Hence,
No,
my-
Revolva has a different story.
Oh, so
Revolva,
you know what I'm talking-
Revolva was in Seder. I like this story. Revolva was in Seder, and this is I heard, and there was a Talmud who came to me and says, like, in Seder, like, I'm thinking about the Hefker table where they put out all the food that's like utterly disgusting once you become a grown adult in yeshiva. Like, I would never touch that.
Hefker table.
But they have like just like the juice from like beef and broccoli sitting there. You have kids like eating it up with spoons. You're like, what is
Soy sauce-
happening
soy
in this
sauce packets.
jungle? Yeah.
Soy-
Random soy sauce packets. And there was a guy there who was like steiging, and all he was thinking about is like, I'm not going to the Hefker table. And Revolbi looked at him as like, save yourself a little time. Go to the Hefker table, eat the cookie, eat the food, eat whatever's there, and then come back and learn. You're going to spend the next 3 hours thinking about how you're not thinking about the Hefker table.
When-
That's me and French
When
fries.
did when did Rav pass away? Because I feel like he's like
Trivia question?
He's someone who can.
In-
No, I feel like he's like a name that people think could either have lived in 1700s or in like.
He died after
Wow, I heard
he again his Rebbe was Rav Hutner. Rav Hutner died in 1980, and then after Rav Hutner died, he learned by Rav Hutner's son-in-law, Rav Jonas and David. I think he died in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like pretty,
Really, a lot of the
His
big
Talmidim
a
are
lot of
not
the big
so-
rabbis today are Talmidim of Rav Roma.
because Revolva brought Jewish ideas to like life.
Reality?
Like he took Rav
I did
Tzadok
not
and Rav
know.
Hutner
That's
and
true.
like
We go
brought
to
it.
top 5 Gedalim.
I have it in the back. I talk about the Gedalim in the back, the character, but he brought it to life, to people, to the people.
I want to finish up over here because there's two more. There's wrong hat, and again, we're still in the top 5.
I
from
tapped out of
mistakes.
hat, so I'm not the right person to ask on this, but I
Well,
notice
AY, really.
I notice
What?
when people are wearing the wrong hat.
What do you mean
know-
the wrong hat? Where are they wearing the wrong
What's
hat?
the wrong
They're wearing the
That
wrong- it's,
happen
a,
often.
it's a decade old. It's the wide brim. You look like the man in the yellow hat from Curious
Wow,
George.
yeah, that's true.
it's too
Sayek
big.
has this.
It's very Passaic.
I have this game I play with myself in shul. Is it Macy's like looks like did he just find a cheap hat that looks like the Jewish hat? So he's like, I'll get that one. It was like $20 in Macy's. Or does he just have no idea what hat they were supposed to wear?
Or he bought it 20
Right.
years ago for his
Right,
wedding.
Or he bought it 20 years ago. Like you
And
see
he
a guy with
never
like a
updated.
fedora with like
I'm
a
gonna
bow
be
and
that
you're
guy.
like,
I have my hat since my wedding, and it's great condition. it's 5+ years old, and I'm gonna do it until Rich and my kids are like, could you please get a bigger hat or whatever? It's
And then you're gonna buy like a gray straw hat.
No, my dad is like he's
He's a gray
Oh,
straw hat guy.
No, he's
his
not.
hat is
Your
back
father
in
doesn't
style
have a-
now.
No, he's aging in reverse. He used to be a gray hat guy, straw hat guy. He's getting more. He's turning into a Shana Aleph Bacher who
Really?
like just came to the mirror. His hats are getting bigger.
You see these people who walk into shul and like the hat is like walking
No,
with them.
he
you
wears
know,
like a
so-
10-gallon cowboy hat.
Are we gonna get in trouble? We're not hat shaming anybody.
We're not hat
No,
shaming.
if you have-
If you have a hat that's big, we like it. Okay.
Okay, and the last one is tzitzis.
This is a lot of people's nightmare. I was one time at a
wrong
conference
tzitzis?
and
What do you
You have a lot of nightmares.
I was at a conference and I saw somebody who I love and respect. I know exactly who it was, who was sitting with his legs crossed, and from dangling out of his pant leg, he's wearing pants. Was a little.
That's
tits.
impressive.
That's a big
little
short-
shorts. With
Right.
shorts, it's a
Correct.
With shorts when you're like 12 years old and like it's coming. It's like,
No,
you know,
it was
you
a
try to control
mystery.
that.
It was like I was seeing like the singularity or the mysteries of the universe. Like who created your tzitzis? Like it's from like the Infinity Stone. Like I didn't know
It's also onto like,
bending time and matter. I don't know how it poked out there, but I've seen it before.
Wait, did you go over with them?
no, what, Yaakov, what is he supposed to
I
say?
would.
to him?
I would be.
No.
I'm that guy.
No.
I'd be like,
You are
hey.
the guy. Hey, sir, you have a tzitzis hanging out.
I'd be like, I love your books, by the way. I
No.
read all of them.
No,
all
I didn't go
15
over
of them.
I-
But your tzitzis.
I handled like a mensch. I took a picture
once
of it
had
and posted it on social media. That's what I did. Like a mensch.
Right.
Without his face. Just,
Right.
just the leg.
I once had someone walk in like in the middle of davening, like he went out like and came back with a tzitzis coming out of his neck. How does that happen?
That sits happens.
What happened? It just like it was like
Tzitzis
hanging out there.
popping
Like,
out.
I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna correct him.
Maybe
I,
it's a
like-
look. Maybe it's a look. Who knows?
It happens. Yeah, no, listen, I think it's a fair balance. You know, women who once they get married have to wear a sheitel. We have to wear tzitzis. It goes in evenly.
We have to do it
How do you
from,
compare-
from early
I-
on.
Oh
It's a
yeah,
joke. It's a
your
joke.
wife's gonna kill you. By the way.
It's a sarcastic joke. Wearing a sheitel.
I have a
is
lace
definitely
top
allowed.
tzitzis, by the way.
Okay, so I want to talk about a little. I mean, both of you are very heavily involved in Twitter. So I want to talk about a few tweets.
Sure.
Twitter.
Okay.
Bum,
Okay,
bum, bum,
I can
bum, bum,
move.
bum.
Well, I'm gonna go back to the book, but AY, you tweet a lot, and David, you also
No,
tweet
but
a lot.
he's the master.
He's the
No, but I feel like you have like this conversational way with people. Like I feel like you have like this social media presence with people.
I personally love when David, when you're serious on
I
Twitter,
could say,
Right,
when you
get
go on this
serious.
bash against like the T-neck school board, you know, like that.
I'm being leichem against them.
I love it.
Kids are. You do funny and you do it really well, and you have like a secret account that we're not going to mention here that you get serious
No,
on.
I haven't used it in a long time.
For me, I'm myself, and I like sometimes I joke, sometimes I'm serious, sometimes I say a vart. Like I'm not like I don't allow myself to like. I'm not gonna be your badchen. I'm gonna share what I want to. It's my little online diary, and that's what I share there.
Right. So for me, it's a misconception. Like people are like, "Oh, that wasn't funny," or like you put everything that comes out to your head. Like it's jotting down notes to me, like in a way. Like it's like, "Oh, this is a thought. It might not be the funniest thing, but it's a line." Like yesterday, I tweeted that sometimes when I need inspiration, I go over to this painting of Nussens V. Finkel, and I go, "Mirror, mirror on the wall." So
That's a good pun.
right. So like I have these lines, and like you have a guy who goes like, "Oh, you just tweet everything." Like, yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah, I tweet everything.
And just for people
like,
context
yeah.
who aren't so familiar with you guys, like you guys are hitting well over millions of impressions a month. It's not like a small little group over here with 256
It's grown.
members.
It's-
It's a big
I think
it's a big mysid.
It's a
Right,
call it a
it's
mycid. It's not tier 1, that's for sure. But I wish it was. I think people
Tier 1 in reverse. You
they're
know? It's like-
looking. People are looking for ways that they could laugh at their lives. It's an exhale. Otherwise, Yiddishkeit feels like a very long inhale. Like, and at some point, you just need to just like let that out a little bit. And I think on social media, in a funny, kosher way, I think that's what people are doing.
I feel like it's even.
I'm probably a little bit more kosher. He's probably a little more funny, but together,
No. No, but I feel like now there's like this whole like movement of like like we grew up in a certain system that was very rigid, and like our upbringing was, certain rebellion and certain things, and like we were almost like thought that we weren't allowed to joke or like make jokes, and like we're all like waking up to the fact like we could be funny with being kosher and being light and entertaining without it doesn't have to be bad. Like it doesn't have to be like illegal in the frum sense,
Humor doesn't have to be like
right.
that, right? It doesn't. Have to
And
be,
there are so many people doing this, like just making jokes and like like mirror mirror on the wall is just a funny pun. It's not bad. There's nothing wrong with it.
If you think about it, it's so incredible because it's a daily thing that on WhatsApp, whatever, or WhatsApp or Twitter, usually it originates on Twitter and then it somehow gets to WhatsApp as a screenshot. Every day there's something else going viral.
Yeah.
On Jewish WhatsApp with I would literally say like hundreds of thousands of Jews like that are
sometimes
that
it's
we're
too
all
much.
tied in with
sometimes
it could be
and a
too
lot of
much,
times it's just
but-
not funny. There's just some really unfunny stuff to go on. Like, why is this
Like
even getting
pushing
passed
for
around?
something.
What is
right,
this?
but you know what? Sometimes they're funny, and my point
Right.
is that it's so much a part of people's lives without them even realizing.
Yeah.
And the more
I mean, if you pulled the
Memes.
carpet out, if you
Yeah.
took it away, I think people would realize.
But the more specific, the more particular of a community that you live in,
Yeah.
the better, more fertile ground that's going to be for humor. And the Frum community, we have the same shared experiences where there's a lot of like insider knowledge, especially if you talk about specific communities, the 5 towns, Baltimore, whatever it is. Baltimore's the best. I love a good Baltimore joke.
you
Yeah,
know,
Baltimore,
like I'm so
Baltimore.
nervous
Well,
to
no,
talk
do it
about
now.
communities.
Oh no, I love Baltimore, and
They get, by
Baltimore
the way, they
loves
get
me.
sensitive about it.
No,
Like,
I
you
no,
know,
I
you gotta
lived in
be
Baltimore
careful.
for 4 years. My Zadie's wife, Millie, if you're listening, she's 94, 95.
She well.
Live and be well. We love Millie. And she's old time Baltimore. She remembers Rav Ruderman's wife.
I feel like
Is
everyone in
Shiva
Baltimore is old time
is that in?
Baltimore.
Is he
No,
Shiva?
no, because
Shiva Lane is in Baltimore, yeah. Shiva Lane.
yeah, she lives in Baltimore. But every community has its own dynamic, its own personality, and
They get a lot of flack though.
Who, Baltimore?
Yeah, they get a lot of flack.
Because Baltimore.
Well, then I'm from Brooklyn. We also get a lot of
No.
flack.
Yeah, everyone
No,
gets
come
flack.
on.
Everyone gets
Flatbush,
flack.
everyone hates
Come
on
on.
Flatbush.
Yeah, well, everyone, yeah, well, Flatbush.
Baltimore's a
whatever.
time
Now they all moved to
Baltimore,
Baltimore gets a lot of like.
Baltimore, I love Baltimore because in Baltimore it's still 1986. It's still
Flack.
in a good way.
Right,
in a
right,
good
right.
way.
And
And that,
is the
you know what
best.
I was about to say, and people say, no, I mean,
They
well.
just got French fries with
Did
the
anyone
stores.
warn them?
They don't know about the sushi and they don't know about charcuterie.
Did anyone
boards.
warn them about COVID yet?
Exactly.
Oh, man, I would
It's
love to
so
see your inbox
good.
after this
It's
hits.
so
Oh,
good.
man.
No, I love
What's
that.
info at
I wish I made a
d-ideas.com?
list of both of your tweets, but I'm just literally going on Twitter now. So, okay, AY, 4 days ago, you said, I thought this was very funny. Taking a serious situation, but making a joke in a positive way. You said, in what turned out to be a colossal miscommunication, everyone was served bowls of vaccines and injected with challah. This is in reference to, I think, in Bnei Brak.
Yeah, B'nai Brak. They gave out. Right, so everyone was talking about this. In B'nai Brak, they told everyone that they're giving out bowls of challah when you come for the vaccine. And I just thought the whole thing is comical. Just to bribe everyone to get
It
vaccines.
was
with
great.
challah.
It was
It's
wonderful.
like-
Somebody else said, what's his name? Punk Fakert said, he was imagining the B'nai Brak situation. One bucker going up to him, what kind of challenge you get, Moderna or Pfizer? This is good. This is good.
Right,
good-
it's
it's good
fun
humor.
stuff. There's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. It's a fun
But again,
thing.
they're
Like you
it's
know,
just there are just people who just like they can't let people joke, you know.
But
right,
that's
right.
okay.
So we have that.
It's
And
okay.
I,
That's
I
okay?
make mistakes. Two things. Number one, it's okay.
line is different for everyone.
Right.
The line is your audience.
what's the right line?
Is your audience
you
and who
see-
you're trying to reach.
Right, you see the response. You know,
You've made mistakes though.
know, of course,
You delete things
yeah.
and say Itaka wasn't right.
the whole Twitter account is a mistake.
Could you say like had to delete? That's true. I want to like judge.
I can tell you which tweet you shouldn't mention right now. Do you want to listen to those?
Well, I mean, we don't have to really. I've deleted stuff. I don't remember anything specific because, like, people think I put a lot of thought into these things. Like, someone like recently, like someone said a joke, and then someone like what's it called, like tweeted a tweet from mine like last year that was very similar to someone else's, and I'm like, I don't even remember that one.
Right.
Right. It
There was a
happens.
video
Right.
I shared that I found incredibly moving where Craig Ferguson, who's an old late night host, was getting up. There was a pop star, not a Jewish person, a pop star who was going through a really tough life situation, drugs, rehab, all this stuff.
Okay.
And he got up and he said, the whole world thinks I'm going to make fun of this person right now. The whole world thinks. And I don't want to do it. It doesn't feel right to me because I myself am sober 15 years. I also dealt with alcoholism and recovery. And I like humor when it's directed at niche situations and like powerful things that shouldn't be so powerful. But I don't like, I'm not going to punch down at people who are going through something that's difficult and painful to make to make it feel awful. And I looked at that video, and you should know, somebody after I did that, in a very respectful way, said, well, you just shared this. What about this older video that you shared that seemed to be about a person that was maybe more vulnerable? Shouldn't you take that down too? And I said, you're absolutely right. And I deleted it on the spot. And I think that that feedback of saying like, look, this is an example of you kind of punching down to somebody who's vulnerable and didn't need that. Like, I have no problem doing
barely
that.
ever say names of anyone. Like, you can look. I barely ever quote a name or something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not.
I have a problem name dropping as
We're
saw
gonna
during
cut
this
that
podcast.
part out for the ad for this podcast where he goes, "I've been sober for 15 years," and I think we should cut that out and just use that. Or
Use the clip.
about you saying you've been sober.
Oh, you're
15
saying to like
years.
get people to. I don't know what you're saying. Okay, so there's that is very nice, and I think it's the message there is
It's just
also
like all day.
no like
to your point. There was this guy who I recently got into it. This guy who's lately been like trolling the From accounts, like that's not funny, and like rating tweets, like he's giving points and saying like, oh, well, you tweet everything that comes to your head, and like he's been not just me, he's been doing it to like a bunch of people. And like I've been like, okay, like putting aside nothing bad.
I'm like offended. Yeah, this guy's not attacking me.
Right, yeah. So like I finally like engaged in him, and it was like a back and forth. And like I think he misunderstands what we're all doing on Twitter. Like, why are you marking people's like it's just not nice. It's a mean thing. And I know other people who like, texted me or whatever who are like really like who are offended by it or sensitive about it. Like our platform, what we're doing here of like making jokes and whatever, like first of all, we're not charging you for this. So like, what are you doing? Like rating us? Like what is that? And like, if you don't enjoy it, like go away. Like
right. You don't need a.
Not the same way you don't need to tweet everything that comes to your head. Not every criticism or feedback. Not every time you don't like something do you have to announce it to the
you don't have
world.
to announce. Right.
I
agree
love
with
when
that.
people criticize.
Like Yaakov Langer, who announced to the world.
Right.
That
I
was
walked
in
in.
private!
I walked in.
Right.
David, by the way, your cover is very messed up and ugly. Do you know this? Somebody told
I did not
you?
say that. But no, I happen to be a massive fan of if you feel like you could help someone, like
Right.
critique, like even with our podcast, I like when people send us feedback privately. Don't like
Right, the public stuff is annoying.
positive
Like, don't
in
jump into my
public
replies
and
and
crit-
do
Don't
that.
make us
helping-
don't make us like delete your comment on YouTube. Like, come on.
but
Yeah,
sorry
but
about
you can't
those.
tweet. You can't delete someone else's comment on Twitter. You can't delete their thing. So it's like, it's
Anyway,
like, just go away. Like,
Anyway, I
don't
pulled
have
up
to be
two
there.
tweets that you did. And I'm not pulling up tweets that you did, David, because we did that with your last episode. And
Correct.
we'll get back to
And
you.
we're
but don't worry. You're
we're
opening your
focusing
book.
on what matters.
Yeah, he's holding up his book. AIM humor, I should say. And you said this. Anyone going from Muncie to the UAE with room for a small package.
That was so
It
good.
was-
That represents so much.
It was
Right.
so good. It was
It
so
was
good.
right after they announced that peace deal, and like it just
Again-
it just hit me,
Again, an
That's
example of the
Jewish life in
film
a
world saying,
snapshot. So
okay,
good.
UAE, we're going to pound that place.
like if there would be like a surveillance camera in your house, you just like be sitting there eating, then you see yourself jumping over your couch to your phone to like.
I've done that.
You had an
That's
idea.
that type of tweet.
Yeah.
That's that I would do that. Like, yeah. Like,
Here's another one I want to read from AIM Humor. Stopped in a young Israel for a mincha over Yontif and picked out a worn-out mask from the bin from the wedding of Arthur and Shirley Rosen, November 7th, 1983. It's perfect. I mean,
That's
the
so
names
good.
are perfect and just the
Because
situation.
it combined the old
Right.
school bins of the old yarmulkes that you would have
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
and the
used
young
mat.
Israel
It's good. It's very, very
with
good.
also the embroidered like name on the
Exactly.
yarmulke. Yeah.
I miss those. We used to have a bin in Shari.
Oh, did
Shuls
we?
don't have the bins anymore. It's sad. It's sad for me.
I actually had.
Bring
I
back
think,
the bins. Chevra.
Baltimore has.
Bal-
Okay, now I'm canceled.
No, but bring back
Cancel
the
Yaakov.
bins. Bring back the bins.
So, David, wait, what were you saying, AY?
No, I think the inspiration for that came actually. I was by Levaya and they had a bin.
Oh
of
my
yarmulkes
gosh.
there, and I couldn't say like by Levaya. Picked out so I switched it to Young Israel.
But it worked. It worked.
Yeah,
I
it
think
worked
maybe
fine.
even better. David, okay, here's a tweet from you. Real friendship is being able to say it's time to bench even when you're not hosting the meal.
Yes, this is a real story.
That's real friendship.
That is what
Right,
real
that is
friendship
real
is in my
friendship.
book. I was at Shabbos. We, during Corona, only eat with one other family, our next door neighbors, who we love, and he's a
Name.
he's a no-nonsense emergency room doctor. The Hagler family, who we love, and they're wonderful, and our kids are.
We love you, Haglers.
And they live right next door to us. And he's no nonsense, and we were just like at the end of a meal, and it's like at the point where like everybody's like on couches and chairs and this, and he just
like-
looked around, like paused, he's like, "It's time to bench." And I was like,
And you were hosting?
I was hosting, and he just looked around without any like.
Like it took away your manlyhood right there.
No, I
No.
loved it. I loved it. I said, "Now we're now it's
Yeah.
real. Now the
Right.
friendship is real." Because usually you have to be like, where are the benchers? Or look at your, what time's the early mincha? You know, like start asking questions that will get them.
I would really love a nap today.
If we stopped right now, am I going to be milchig?
So you start doing that stuff, but then he just said it right out, and I said I love you. That was the moment where we became very close friends.
And another tweet from AY. This tweet said to me that you need to be on other places than just Twitter. Everyone's a shul shusher until they have someone to talk to. I thought that was very funny.
A real Torah.
I found myself
Torah.
in situations where I really like. I'm a big fan of no talking in shul, and there's times but then I have like my best friend I didn't see in years, and he's there and he's making jokes to me, and I'm like, I have that peer pressure. Like I need to talk to him, and all of a sudden I'm the shusher somewhat, and
all of a sudden you're being shushed.
Yeah,
I daven early to avoid this.
You daven early to avoid.
No,
that day I was shushed. The guy came over to me that day in shul, and he's like, in the shul we try. I'm like, I'm moving out of here in like a week. Like, oh, okay. I'm like,
no, for me, it's again, I don't like talking during davening, but that's not the issue. I don't like the awkward like, are you trying to have a conversation?
Right.
Are you not? And like keep turning back. So I daven early, before anybody got daven 7 a.m. on Shabbos. Just to avoid, and that way you have the whole row. It's a real estate decision. You have the whole row to yourself. Nobody's near you. If somebody came and sat next to me, like when I have an open row and half the shul's empty, I'd probably find a different shul.
There's a lot of truth. Like, so a lot of these are jokes, and the purpose is to make people laugh. But there's also you're like also relaying a very not so subliminal message with it.
Well,
like,
to your point, that I was so after this guy shushed me, I was watching him for like the rest of davening, obviously, and I noticed him.
Yaakov there with the binoculars.
Yeah, I'm just and obviously I caught him talking a few times because like, a guy came over to him and like, yeah, obviously you shushed me, but now you have some of it,
No, you tweeted just a reminder: anybody who is not on vacation and not going in the foreseeable future does not want to see your vacation picture. So like. It's a joke. It's funny, but it's also so true.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I haven't taken vacation since before COVID. So like, I don't need to see you right now in Cancun. Who are you doing that for anyways? Like who wants to see you there? Oh look, the Rosenbergs are in Cancun again.
Right. Social media posts on anniversaries.
Yeah.
Not for me.
You said something very funny.
I did that yesterday.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy when people post on social media and say like to their spouse,
right? And
say, I just want to thank my best friend in the world who I love from day one, 5 years together. To me, and again, respect to anybody who does it, if your wife or husband or whoever who likes it. To me, it's like the most intimate relationship in the world is your spouse. I'll post how much money I make online before I talk about my relationship with my wife.
Right.
Get me out of here. So I posted yesterday. It was Valentine's Day. And I posted yesterday, I don't know the exact quote, but I said, to my best friend, I love you so much. We've been through thick and thin together. I want to wish you the happiest Valentine's Day in the world. I love you so much. Sourdough bread. And I had a post with a picture of sourdough bread because that's the love that I will share in public.
So
on that, I love you, Tyra?
No.
On that note, what are some lines that you guys won't cross? Like, this is something we don't.
We had one distinction, and we could talk about it.
We've spoken about it, yeah.
We've spoken about it. He did a top 5 Shliach Tzibur things on Rosh Hashanah.
On Rosh Hashanah. No, not Shliach Tzibur, just Stam. Rosh Hashanah is top people in Shul on
people
Rosh Hashanah.
in Shul on Rosh Hashanah, and I wouldn't go there. And we had a conversation about it.
Right.
Well, I trolled him. I said he's a manovel, and I tried to get him canceled. It didn't work.
No.
But I...
you in general have a thing with shul tweets and like crossing over the shul.
It's because of an article
thing,
that Eitan Kobri, who wrote a thoughtful critique...
It's pronounced Kobri?
I think so.
Yeah, what do you think it was?
From Farakaway.
Cobra?
Eitan Kobri wrote a very thoughtful critique.
Literally how it's not Cobra. It's like
I know, but it's like the LE situation.
Cobra Kai, Eitan Cobra Kai, the ninja. No, Eitan Kobri wrote a very fine critique of my column where he basically said I was outside on Motzi Shabbos doing Kiddush Levana. And there's so many bits that come up in Kiddush Levana, the dancing that nobody wants to do, the guy who thinks that asking Shalom Aleichem 3 times is like his stand-up comedy bit. He loves it. Shalom Aleichem, like he does the whole thing. Shalom Aleichem, and he
said
the
first guy to find the moon.
The first guy.
It's behind. I was like, okay, you have to come out to the parking lot.
So he said I was at Kiddush Levana and I was thinking about the column as I was doing Kiddush Levana, and I realized that like. thank God he wasn't like praising the column; he was criticizing it. But I think in a good way. He said, "I was thinking of this column was in my head while I was trying
ruining his kavana, yeah.
while I was trying to be there." And I hear that, like
took the muster.
even for me, like I mean, a tweet pops into your head in a situation, and I don't want my column to be in somebody's head during their Shemona Esrei, except when they accidentally
during Ne'ilah.
Yeah, except when they accidentally clop. It's okay if you think you accidentally clop.
Shoots, I ruined Rosh Hashanah for like. Okay.
No, but that's why. Like it was like a big
Right.
thing, and like there are bits.
Doing Psikha Ne'ilah, and he's like,
Right.
The Shliach Tzibur jokes. So I say that, but I loved your stuff. I thought it was. Do you remember
Right.
what was on that top 5?
I mean, there's.
You did an
the
actual
white,
top 5.
The white everything guy, like white yarmulke, like
all
he
white guy.
buys
Yeah, I
white
love
glasses for it. he's like
White
all
tie.
in with whiteness. Yeah, I mean, no, there's a lot of them. The guy who comes in with like a smorgasbord of food for his kid. Like his kid comes in with like this luggage
Yes.
bag and he sets it up.
I
in
was
front
so
of him.
jealous of those families, but like the good food, the good bags, super
Right,
snacks, fruit
yeah, the guy
roll-up.
who stocks up on like English books. He's like sitting there like reading.
I'm that
like,
guy. Oh, well, not English
whatever,
books,
and
but-
he-
I
like-
bring my whole farm library to
Yeah.
shul. I am that guy. I'll bring like an actual bookcase to shul.
There's just a lot of these guys,
What wouldn't you tweet? Is there anything that you wouldn't?
that I wouldn't do.
Pro-Christian tweets. He's
Right, no,
very
when
anti.
I've gone pro-Christian, it's been bad. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously there's stuff like there's certain like I guess priestess things and stuff. that I don't do.
like personal. Like you don't mention things about your name is not on there. And
Right, I don't like my personal life to be totally up there.
That's the difference
right.
between you two.
Yeah.
Right, my personal life is
So,
private.
obviously, you
It's a
have private
very-
things, but overall,
It's a private
It's a very
thing.
like
I don't
manly thing to take shots at people without your real name on there. No.
Manly.
But I don't take shots at people. I'm very nice. I
Yeah.
happen to be very nice on like even people who troll me or whatever. Like I'm very nice. I'm very like I don't even defend myself usually if someone's attacking me. I'm very I'm nice. But I don't say lashon hara obviously. No, there are things that I wouldn't say or like.
And you delete. You respond to
delete
people.
all the
If somebody
time.
says,
Also,
I think that.
like if it's about like doing things like. I have this ongoing thing like that I talk about with people how like there are certain tefillos like you just don't say all the words. I wouldn't tweet about that because I don't want like people to think everyone doesn't say the words to this tefillah. Like I think it's a funny bit, but I'm not gonna just start talking about things that we do wrong. Like this is an avera I do and it's funny because I do it. Like I'm not there is humor in that, but I'm not gonna go there.
Oh, that's great. No, I appreciate that.
I'm glad
Like,
that you
yeah.
appreciate that.
No, I do. I think.
No, it got super awkward. I don't know.
I think it's. You feel awkward?
Not at all. I am so blessed to be here.
I don't feel awkward.
I
love
I don't
you
have
both.
that sense.
Really?
Yeah,
But you love us both?
My wife
Wait, there's
doesn't like
three.
it though.
Oh gosh.
My wife was like,
Which
"Why
one?
would you say that?" I don't know because I don't. I said it. I don't. She's like, "Yeah, but it got so awkward after." Did like I don't know. I don't.
Do you have that with the sourdough bread? That like.
We do have awkward pauses here in sourdough bread.
It's also one of those things.
I think it's
So good.
I think it's overrated.
It's probably become charcuterie.
Yeah, no, I don't get into it.
I'm gonna rip on sourdough bread.
Rye bread is all I do.
You don't like sourdough bread?
Classic challah. You can't
Challah
beat
and rye
that. Someone's
bread.
like,
Those are
"Oh,
my
I went to a
breads."
meal once. My
Right.
wife loves sourdough bread. They're like, "Oh, we have sourdough bread." Besides the fact that we couldn't cut it, regular challah, we have the best.
Regular
Why?
challah.
You know those people in Mitzrayim with the mun and they're like, "We want something else." That's sour bread. That's it.
I'm
sourdough.
Sourdough
crazy
bread,
about
sorry.
the crunch. A good, fresh, crunchy sourdough bread.
My sister makes
The
incredible
best
sourdough.
is fresh Jewish rye. I
There's
mean,
nothing
I don't
like
need
that.
anything else. You open up that Jewish rye when it's like soft.
My wife used to make it every week, but it's an avodah.
It's a huge
Yeah,
oven.
it's
We
First of all,
buy
it
it.
smells.
We
the
buy it
starter,
from
it
my-
smells and this and that.
My
and-
son Zevi has
He sells
a,
them?
No, my son Zevi is not yet selling them. No, his Moradina makes delicious sourdough.
It's like one of those things you
sourdough
have to
bread.
buy it before Purim. It's like sort of like a tip.
We buy
and,
it every week.
Dina's dough.
We
I just thought of a name for her.
That's a great
Is
name.
that-
That's a great
I'm gonna
name.
let her know that.
No.
What
Yeah.
an amazing. You
This
told her
guy,
that
this
just
guy
now?
is a, this guy is a talented individual.
Yeah, no, he came up with the name for Slavic dentistry. Is that
Yeah, that wasn't me.
The guy's name is Schwartz and like Burger, and he said Schwimmer Slavic.
I had a good name for something recently. I said I'm gonna open the first kosher drive-through bakery and call it Easy Pass.
You should. That's incredible, really.
Wow. Okay, so as we wrap up, I want both of you both do so many things, and I want you to plug and tell people where they could find you.
I don't think
where
we
else
plugged
they
the
could
top 5 book enough. I think.
find you.
we might not know
That's what
about
David's
That's
thinking.
what we're reading here.
It's weird.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah, first and foremost, David has.
I'm only here to plug one thing and one thing only.
So you'll plug your.
No, I want to plug two things. I want to plug my friendship with all of you. It really does mean a lot to me. I take
that's
friends
nice.
seriously. I love the energy that all of you bring to the world in different ways, and I'm plugging people showing appreciation specifically for what the Meaningful People podcast has built. It's unbelievable, and spreading positivity is not a small thing. It's not a small thing. So I want to first plug both of you. I want to plug AY, who brought me here. We've been WhatsApping on WhatsApp friendship.
We've been WhatsApp for years.
And he's a wonderful. He's open to he's such a gesunter person, and he's been online for so long, and it hasn't corrupted him and made him jaded. So I want to plug my friendship with all of you. But that's not what we're really here for. We're here for this book. This book is in all bookstores. It's actually a little hard to find on Amazon. The first book I wrote, Synagogue, was only on Amazon and no Jewish bookstores. This is only in Jewish bookstores. Hard to find on Amazon.
But it's on Amazon?
You can, but it's secondary sellers.
Okay.
So top 5.
So go to your local Judaica store, pick it up.
Local Judaica or top 5 list of Jewish character and characters, and just bring a smile to your face. Pre-Purim, Pesach, curl up with it. Come up with your own.
It's okay to laugh. It's okay
And
to
it's
smile.
okay
It's
to
okay to
laugh.
be
It's
happy.
okay to smile.
You
It's
don't
not
read this on
okay to be
Tisha B'Av.
happy.
That's my only.
know-
No, I have a Tish.
No, but you shouldn't be because you'll.
You shouldn't read it on Tisha
shouldn't
B'Av,
read
but
it on
the
Tisha
top
B'Av.
5 list that I'm the most proud of.
Really?
The most proud of, because it was the hardest to do, and I only did it in the final year that I was there, was top 5 morning practices, like how people act on Tisha B'Av, that we have to stop doing. And like that I was able to do it without being like detracting from the day, but also allowing us to smile at ourselves in the way that we interact with that. That's not easy, and that's what constructive humor is all about, as opposed to like
Give me an example. Give me an example of.
the guy who comes in on Tisha B'Av with like his blow up palm tree chair, comes in every
The
time like
umbrella's over him.
Yeah, he's got like a little umbrella. Every time he shifts, it's like this like squeak.
Like, dude, it's
that you hear,
24
just like,
hours.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
Right.
Are you,
That guy.
do you turn the chair over and like sit down like leaning like this the whole time?
That's the old
You
school
would
way.
appreciate this. In today's Meaningful Minute, we had a video from Rav Meilach Biederman, obviously translated with English subtitles.
Yeah.
But the cliff notes of a 60-second video is that, he quoted someone who compares Adar should be like Av. And people are asking, well, how is Adar like Av? It's actually the opposite. And he said that if you walked in and you saw someone making a siyum on an Av, or not making a siyum, they had a barbecue, a big party, no one was making a siyum and there was no reason for it, you make a macha, you'd protest it, you'd say, it's Av, what are you doing? You can't do this. It's Beis HaMikdash. In the same way in Adar, if someone's sad and down, protest the sadness and bring in happiness, but not for other people. Don't protest other people's sadness, but for yourself. Meaning in Adar is a time to be b'simcha and feel and be happy, and you should have that thing inside yourself to protest and say, this month I'm going to be happy. And that's why we wanted to do this episode, because it's time to laugh, it's time to be happy and be b'simcha.
And it relates. Can I share a Torah?
No, this is strictly. No, kidding. Okay, yeah, of
This
course.
is a Torah in this book. When I talk about comedy, I actually talk about the connection between Tisha B'Av and Purim, and it always struck me as very strange that in the Megillah, when we read V'Kelim Mikelim Shonim, we do it in the Eicha Trup, in this right in this Eicha Trup, in this sad Trup, and it always bothered me, like, why are we adding in like the different Trup from Eicha and Purim? Like, is it like the sound effects, like dun dun, like get nervous, like
it's
something
coming.
bad's happening? We don't do this in any other narrative. All of a sudden here, we add in this different tune to do it. And the idea that I thought of, which actually was like something that I experienced and grew up with, is imagining Tisha B'Av and Purim as these old friends who grew up together, and they went through, whether it was their professional life or their romantic life or something in their lives, they were both waiting for their respective Yeshuas, their respective redemptions. And Purim went ahead and finally got redeemed. And it's now Purim's wedding, and everybody's so excited for Purim. And Purim looks out in the middle of the chasana and sees Tisha B'Av sitting on the side, like awkward, didn't get the shidduch yet, didn't get the job promotion yet, didn't get whatever they were waiting for in life. And Purim pulls Tisha B'Av into the middle of the circle and says, it's going to be by you soon also. Like your simcha coming soon
by
too.
you.
No, but that's what's happening
Right.
here, is that Purim is pulling in Tisha B'Av into the Megillah, and that's the power of comedy. That comedy can take a moment of difficulty, whatever that personal Tisha B'Av is in your life, and pull it into the center of the circle.
That's really beautiful.
That might be your minute.
Whoa.
No, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that. Please.
Okay, and AY, we want you to plug yourself.
Yeah, so I'm not like a big. I don't have like a book. But I do have, I guess, my Twitter, Humor. I recently started, like getting into writing and stuff. So like, if you need for like a simcha or something, I guess you could DM me.
Really?
That's great. It's also great. People go like probably Greg Grauman for like Purim and stuff for people.
Grauman, yeah, I happen to be. I'm not bad at that stuff. Also, Grauman, like just even like a speech.
Where can people reach you?
What?
Where can people reach you?
So you can DM me on Twitter at aimhumor, AIMHUMOR. Same handle on Instagram. I'm not active on Instagram, but if like you DM me, I'll find it.
Mm-hmm.
I have aimhumor1@gmail.com.
You couldn't get aimhumor@gmail.com?
Yeah, who's Aim Humor? I took that one. I took that when I get older.
It was Lurkowitz.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like Shower Brachas stuff. I've spoken about Shower Brachas, so like if you want to
Really?
like,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so if like you want to pay me a couple $2 and come in for a few minutes to speak.
And you have stand up.
Right.
Where can people watch your stand up?
I don't really have stand up.
You have a little bit. I tried it a few times.
Yeah.
Disaster.
It wasn't so bad when I tried it.
Disaster.
It happens to be.
It's funny because you're talking about comedy. Like there's certain people are like certain stand-up comedians are amazing, but when it comes to writing, not their thing.
Correct.
Like there's different mediums of how
it's
to
a real skill
put
to
it
be
out.
able
Different
I guess for
melodics.
you it didn't work, but you did stand-up.
I did stand up. Yeah, so I
Interesting.
did it.
What?
Challen Face.
What did I say?
You just said it. You're like, I guess for you, because you're awful, because you're not a talented person, because you're garbage.
No.
You're garbage.
If a guy
So it
could make
didn't
this
work.
cover to this
But
book,
this guy, this is a funny guy over
Look
here.
at this error on this book. I couldn't
killing
tell.
me.
Sorry.
killing
Sorry. No, but you said yourself that the
this
stand-up
a
machine
No, I
wasn't.
didn't even notice it. I thought that it was within the theme of this. I thought that it was like a.
This is supposed to be. You know what?
Yeah.
I want you to know there's a mistake, a tiny graphical error on the cover of my book, and when I saw it, I freaked out. It was terrible. It wasn't perfect. And I said, you know what? I wrote a book on sin and failure. Life is not perfect. Every time I look at the cover, do I see it? Yes. But you know what? This is what happens in life. You put something out there, you create it. It's not 1,000%
At least it's
perfect.
not a 6.
Yeah, exactly. So there's actually a typo. It's top 6. No, and thank God. It was I look at these moments as moments to cultivate a sense of acceptance because life is not always perfect.
I love that, and I heard recently, I forgot who said it, but he said we look at like mistakes and things that happen to us as like, okay, it's bad, but obviously that's the path to success. But it also always makes good stories. Always gives you content to talk about.
Exactly.
Those the time you forgot to pack that thing for Shabbos, and it's a great story at the end of the day. So it could have that.
But what are you talking about?
The time you
dates if
forgot to
didn't,
pack thing. Every
Exactly.
single time you go somewhere for Shabbos, you're sitting in the car and like, there's something. My belt.
The baby, right? Of course. Right. Okay. Well, thank you too for driving here. Well,
This was
really,
a joy. I love your dynamic. Can I
We'll
just
cover
say
the
one thing?
GWB.
When you interview, you're so locked in. Nachi stares off into the distance like
Right.
he's contemplating the meaning of
And then he'll
existence.
come up with something serious, like, but it just.
He's like looking out there. He's thinking about why our cousin Baruch created the world right now.
I'm just looking at the air conditioning vents on top of these buildings, and I'm just like,
No,
As long as you think of that.
I appreciate it. No, I think we're a very good balance. Also, like before, obviously not in this type of conversation, before I'm the one who's like, I do a lot of research and I'm the one going
We
in a
have,
little more like I know what's going on.
we got a fan.
Literally, Nachi's not paying attention after you just said that. And Nachi's
See, if I wasn't looking out of the window right now, I
Nachi
wouldn't
more
see
comes in
that.
from
They could
that
see in
that
here.
he
Yeah.
doesn't really know exactly like where the conversation is going to go, so we could have that fresh perspective. on
Yaakov
it.
preps. He does the question. He like goes through the research and the questions. And
I
I
can
come in
see
cold.
that.
Right, he had
I can see that.
screenshots of tweets.
It's not a
like, ready.
well-kept secret.
I come in a little bit more cold. And
Yeah, no, in your eyes, like I see, like this was a terrible idea. Like that's what I see. But this was an absolute joy.
It's gonna be like a 15-minute episode, like everything's gonna be cut.
Thank you. And just the last thing, if you guys want to find David Bashevkin anywhere, if you have a podcast, you just have to say, hey, come on, and he'll go on. You can have two
Yeah.
listeners.
My goal
he'll
in
go
life
on.
is to be on every Jewish podcast in the
Oh, I
world.
forgot
Twice.
to plug my podcast, which I had him on. 10 Minutes with AY.
And it's very funny.
You can find it on
Right.
Spotify, podcast, Apple.
Right, yeah, Apple Music.
And
Play,
you
Google.
1840, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so-
I hope you enjoyed that episode, guys. This was a bit of an unmasking for AIM humor, for A.Y. Milstein in particular. He never ever shows his face. He happens to be like a super shy guy, which I was not expecting, and he never shows his face.
You know what's funny about that? The lesson I get from him is
Yeah.
that he's out there in the I guess the digital world in a certain way,
Twitterverse.
and you sometimes see like a persona of a certain person, and you're like, oh, he's for sure like, you know, confident in every single way because his jokes are like top. But like, no, like his thing is like, no, I don't like being out there. Like I like being a little more private.
He's super quiet. He's also very humble. So go ahead and send him a DM. He'll probably answer you. It's crazy the reach that these two individuals have in particular. I know AY said that I think he has well over 1 million impressions a month via his Twitter account, and David as well. I think he said maybe 3 million. So they're reaching so many people with comedy, but in a very meaningful way, in a kosher way. And as David Bashef can explain in the episode, without it, it's just a constant inhale, and sometimes you need a joke, just exhale. And I think we hope that's what we provided for you with this episode.
Fun fact about that episode.
Yeah,
you hope they don't hate us. Fun fact, it was David Bashefkin's birthday.
It was, and none of us even said anything.
Yeah.
I kind of like...
But I feel like he's appreciative that we didn't bring that up.
And you know what? Go ahead and wish him a happy birthday by going ahead and buying his new book.
Yes.
Top 5.
Oh, I know what I want to say.
What's that?
This episode, and every single episode, I need to reiterate it. We never, and we've had it before, so people could say, hey, by the way, I'm coming out with a book. I'm coming out with this new show. And we always say, listen, we aren't here to plug. We don't believe in that. Mm-hmm. We believe in talking to people and talking to them about what they're doing, how they get closer to Hashem. If Punkt happens to be, naturally, it could come up in the conversation that you have a book. You know, we had Rabbi Naftali Horowitz, you know, Rabbi David Cohn. Like, okay, great.
Yeah,
it will come up.
Nobody paid to come on and promote everything.
We'll never, I stand with this, Bli Neder. We'll never take someone solely because they say, okay, I'll pay you, or let's promote it. No. It's really, we always say this, it's about what the audience, what you deserve, what you should be hearing. And David, and by no means, he didn't like say, hey, by the way, I'm coming out with a book. It was actually it was like Hashgacha Pratis. We heard about him coming out with the book, top 5. We had such a fun time last time when he was on, and we're like, Purim, Misha Nichtas Adar Marbim B'Simcha, boom, 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 AY, yalla.
Yeah. Great episode. We'll get back to our more meaningful routine probably next week.
One time a year, it's okay that we have a little fun.
And just keep subscribing, keep sharing, and have a happy Purim.
Yeah, have a happy Purim. And if you're listening to this after Purim, or
have a happy next Purim.
Have a happy Pesach,
yes.
Happy Shavuos, hopefully a happy Tisha B'Av.
And a Mazel Tov on the Simcha in your life.
And
that you're probably
I'm
experiencing.
sorry for that loss.
Oh, God.
Oh, sorry. Okay, either way, don't forget to always do acts
Nagelwasser.
of
Bye.
Nagelwasser. Ciao.
None of this has been censored.